Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Okay, now that's all done. Last year's done. You know, all the Coach Signetti pictures in the building on game day, get them off the walls, you know, all that stuff. Everything's earned, not given now. Okay? Nothing good in life comes easy. What's cheap won't last. What lasts isn't cheap. All right? You got to pay the price every single day and do it consistently. And when you're good, then you got to have that burning desire to be great. All right? Because 98% of this game is between your ears.
Super excited about this. Our football team is one that has gained a lot of headlines just by the way we finished a year ago with 10 wins. Have a number of players, whether it's 16, 17, 18, however you want to cut it, of our 22 starters coming back.
You know, we came back to Rutgers, and this will be our 6th season back. You know, we were dead last and could hardly see it from there. So it was a tough start, but we've kind of step by step climbed our way to the middle of the league.
The 3 guys that we have here are tremendous young men. I told somebody before we were checking into the hotel, and as we were checking in, the woman behind the desk said, "Is there someone 21 that could check these 3 guys in?" I said, "Yeah, I'll do it."
And if I say one thing, I'll say this: we like our football team. We like our football team a lot. We believe in the guys. It's those 4 guys I mentioned. It's all the guys back in Lincoln. We believe that we can play with anybody, and we've had our highs and lows, our ups and downs. Been through a lot in 2 years together, and we're going to go make a run at this thing this year. So I'm grateful to coach them. It's been probably the most fun I've had in a long time, and excited to talk about them. So with that, I'll answer any questions that you guys have.
Good morning. Welcome into Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's Austin Jacobsen. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. What's up, Austin?
Oh, just catching up. It feels like I'm already playing behind today, which I don't like.
It's not a great start.
No, I don't like starting that way.
It's not a great start.
After that, you know, you recoup, you recover, and then we thrive. That's kind of the motto. And it's Wednesday, so it feels like you're like halfway through the week too.
We are halfway through. Yeah, we're almost there.
Do you feel like your week is halfway done when the show ends Wednesday, or when does your official halfway mark actually hit?
Yeah, probably when the show's done Wednesday, because you know I've got the rest of the job to do after the show. But I think probably after the show on Wednesday, we're like smack dab in the middle of hump day.
You're not feeling like 8:30 on Wednesday? Like, halfway, we're done.
No. Maybe when the show starts on Thursday, even like maybe it's a little longer.
I could see that.
You know, you gotta get through the week, but it's we're about to start having a lot more content, which I enjoy.
Yes,
we've
indeed.
got Big Ten Media Days.
Holy cow, did we get some content yesterday?
They got well over a couple hours worth of content between Coach Rhule and then the players that were there. I think it was a lot of interesting things were said. I'm sure we'll get to a lot of that. But also, I feel like we're rounding the corner. Mm-hmm. Once we're at Big Ten Media Days, Nebraska's gone. It feels like we're staring down the barrel of football season. So I'm excited about that. And I don't know. It feels like it's about time. It feels like it's getting close.
And it's so
exciting.
It's so crazy to say that we're actually at July 23rd.
I know.
I mean, the summer's just flown by. I felt like it was just 2 weeks ago that we were doing College World Series. We were talking to all those folks and out in the baseball village and how quickly it turns, right?
I know. We'll be doing Pinnacle Bank Championship before you know it. That's the pinnaclebankchampionship.com if you want to get tickets. But if
great plug.
No, it does feel like summer's flown by, and obviously as a big fan of summer, I'm a little bit sad about that, but it means football's right around the corner.
Right. And
we're right there.
Like you said, we got great commentary from so many different coaches, but not to toot the own horn of the people of this state, but I felt like one Matt Rhule might have dominated the Big Ten press conferences.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Not that you can chalk up wins and losses in media days.
It's a W.
Go Big Red.
But it feels like it was a pretty successful outing for one young Matt Rhule.
Yeah, I thought he did well. There's one particular answer I wasn't in love with, which I'm sure we'll get to, but no, I thought for it made me feel better about how I feel about the team.
Right.
Like to hear him talk the way he did, like he obviously really likes his football team.
Mm-hmm.
I think he mentioned a couple times double-digit wins. I don't know if you caught that.
He saw your video Monday. That's what happened.
I don't know if you saw that.
He was scrolling on the plane Wi-Fi.
But he goes, hey, when we get to double-digit wins this year, and I was like, okay, I hear you. All right, so I appreciated that. There was when he was on with DB and KC, Kyle Crooks, on the Husker Sports Nightly show, he kind of validated some of my defensive line thinking, which I appreciated. So I felt good that I'm not just out here on some island all by myself thinking some of the things that I think about this football team.
Right.
It seems like there's at least a pulse internally that is lining up with the way I feel about this team. I think both sides of Coach Rhule said this yesterday. I think both sides of the line are going to be good. I was assuming the offensive line would be, because I think it's a given with Raiola, with Donnie at this point.
Yep.
And I do think they upgraded. Like Elijah Pritchett's an NFL tackle, body-wise, right? Rocco Spindler is an NFL guard. Like that dude played for a national championship last year. Elijah Pritchett has big-time SEC Power Conference snaps under his belt at Alabama. And Coach, I think one of the best things I heard Coach Rhule say yesterday was talking about those guys in conjunction with the defense and the defensive line. He goes, okay, we know what those teams were last year. Now, Alabama, it's a disappointing year for them, but if they win one more game, they're in the college football playoff in all likelihood. Obviously, Notre Dame, that's a great year. They play for a national championship. Obviously, they come up short against a team that Nebraska played, so you feel pretty good about that.
Right.
But the fact that guys were coming in on the defensive line and saying, oh, that's what a national championship level guard looks like, I feel like I can play with that guy. I feel like I can beat that guy. That's really good for the psychology of this team, right? Because those aren't guys. Some of the guys Nebraska got from Georgia kind of in that first batch of transfers in year one weren't really playing, right? So it's hard to, like MJ Sherman, he was a big special teams contributor, stuff like that, really good football player for Nebraska. But you couldn't really look at MJ Sherman and be like, oh, that guy's starting, like a huge contributor, a real cog of that defense at Georgia. No, you looked at me and go he's coming to Nebraska because he's having a hard time cracking the starting lineup on defense. Understandable. All of those guys are in the NFL now, right? Yeah. But with Elijah Pritchett and Rocco Spindler, those guys played. Elijah Pritchett started every game for Alabama. Rocco Spindler was the starting guard for a national championship runner-up. These guys can play at a national championship level. And if you're Nebraska and your guys and your defensive line sit there and go, oh, well, I'm beating this guy.
Right.
Well, and in my humble opinion, I think they're better coached now than, maybe not at Notre Dame, but I think they're better coached now than just about anywhere else they'd be in the country, because that's how I feel about Donovan Raiola as a offensive line coach. And I can sit here and go, okay, now Riley Van Poppel is going up against Rocco Spindler, and he goes, oh, I can play with a national championship level guard. And Keona Davis and Williams and Winari are going up against Elijah Pritchett, and they go, oh, I can play against a NFL national championship SEC quality tackle. Then that changes the dynamic of how you feel about yourself on a defense. And I think I think a lot of that, Coach Rhule talked a lot about, hey, I know I'm good now.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of just being, I hope I'm good. I think I'm good. We still got to see. It seems like the mentality has shifted in that room, especially on the defense. They're like, oh, no, I know I'm good at football.
Yeah.
I know I can do this. I'm doing it against NFL and national championship quality people. Let's go. We can do this now.
I thought it was a great, and what you said there somewhere in the middle of that entire sandwich was just right about the philosophy and the character and the culture. It feels like it's all lined up now. And I know that it's Big Ten Media Days. We're supposed to be hearing the right things. But much like we heard from the Open with Shane, with Curt Cignetti and his entire commentary from what we heard from Brett Bielema, it feels like you can really tell the identity and the character and culture of each program that has a significant, really, character leading its charge, right? Ryan Day's pretty mundane. He's pretty even keel. You're not going to get too much out of him, right?
Not publicly. I think last year, I figured out there's more to him behind closed doors. But you're right. On the surface, he is very milquetoast.
But then Bielema, obviously, he's going to be pitching for his guys quite often. And we heard that. I was kind of surprised to hear him come out and almost directly say, well, yeah, people are very high on us this year. Cignetti, of course, is going to sig himself, into oblivion, where he's going to have as many one-liners.
Yep. Just take that drag on that sig.
He's going to have as many one-liners as he can possibly fit in. But that's somewhat that was the characterization of Indiana last year. It was a team that you could look on paper and say, okay, they're not the most talented team in the Big Ten, but man, were they confident. And especially when they got really confident in that middle stretch, then it was really tough to beat them. And Nebraska suffered because of that too. For Nebraska's side of Matt Rhule, every single player, even on some of the offshoot stuff that I thought might go mega viral. I saw, Dylan did one of those stand-up interviews with one of the TV guys here in town, and he had said, well, the goal for the season is a national championship. It's always a national championship. People could run with that in a million different ways, and I thought he wasn't even exaggerating a little bit, because he just said, essentially just went and said, what's the point of playing if we're not going to play for the ultimate prize?
Yeah, no, I really, it reminded me of this is a weird pull, but I was at a Creighton Media Days in 2016, going into the 2016-2017 season. And Maurice Watson was point guard on that team. He was in his second year. They're coming off a little run in the NIT, and we're going through Media Days, and he goes, people are talking about, hey, what are the expectations for their seasons? Because people thought they were going to be pretty good.
Yep.
And he goes, we think this team can go to a Final Four. We're Final Four good. And that's a wild thing to say at Creighton in 2016.
Yeah.
Because that's not what the program was. They hadn't made a Sweet 16. They obviously had not made a deep run in the tournament in any significant way. This is a team that's never been to a Final Four, much less a Sweet 16 in the modern era. So you sit there and you go, okay, it kind of took me a minute just because the history of the team didn't match the potential of what was sitting right in front of us. And I think that's very similar to what's happening at Nebraska this year. The recent history, not even that recent, the last 28 years of history indicates, I'll go 25. They played for a national title in 2001. I'll say 25 years of history, right? Does not lead you to believe that Nebraska is a national championship caliber program.
Right.
But I think they look at it and they go, okay, with the college football playoff the way it is now, with the roster that we have coming back, with the coaching staff that we've brought in, we see this as a team that can get in the college football playoff. And once that happens, all bets are off, right? You got to get into the tournament. Just make the dance, and then all bets are off. I'm not saying I necessarily think this team's going to win national championship, but I think there's a very similar mindset of, we know how good we are. We don't care what the outside perception is, and we don't care what the recent history of the program is. And I think that's a really good sign, because I think for a long time, especially with the bowl drought and everything like that, it was very clear that people cared what the recent history, even inside the locker room, what the recent history of Nebraska was. And it was they hadn't made a bowl game, and they hadn't won a bowl game in almost a decade, and all these other things, right? So I think to be able to unhook that weight from you and say, doesn't matter what recent history is, I know what this football team is, I think that's a really important step mentally for them to have taken.
And we had talked a little bit about it yesterday, about kind of getting some of the scar tissue out of the program and that sort of stuff too. You know what? It was like a very micro thing that I picked up from Rhule yesterday in all of his commentary, whether it was the Sports Nightly interview, whether it was his side press conference, or if it was his main one that was on the big stage at Big Ten Media Days. That dude doesn't miss anything. I don't know if he has people on staff or if he himself is spending the time, but he listens and finds every single detail that Husker fans are asking questions about, and he just rips and roars and just spits it out himself. He just talks about it offhanded, because it was the comment, and it was a little thing, like he got asked in his main press conference about the Jack Hoffman stuff, and hey, is there going to be maybe some sort of, event, or is there something we can expect during the season where you like honor his memory? And I love the fact that he went, that's not mine to share. I'm going to let our guys handle that when they're ready to do that. And then on top of that too, obviously being asked about the Scott Frost thing, he handled that in his own Rhule very way. And I know you want to get to that later, but then even the commentary on, the Chasing 3 documentary. Yeah, we made a full movie about it. Yeah. And it'll never see the light of day publicly, but sometimes it's a home movie. And I know some videographers out there are going to be, cringing about that, which they rightfully should. You want your creative work to be shown. But every single type of little itty-bitty question that even pops up in our type of YouTube chats, where was the Chasing 3 documentary after the Iowa law, all that stuff, he's got it. He knows. And he's reading up on it, and he knows what people are asking, even on the most micro detail. And he's comfortable addressing it in his own way. and handling it in that perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I think he doesn't miss anything. Like
No.
he doesn't. And I imagine this is just all something I've made up in my head, but I imagine like when you see movies where there's a president and they're like handed a file, like here's the dossier on. Like I imagine he gets that on the Nebraska media every
that would be great
every 48 hours, where he's like, hey, Pat Stewart, the GM, or
see, I told you he got your file from your Monday clip on Tuesday when he got on the plane,
or Dr. Elsa, or somebody comes up to him and is like, Coach, here's your last 48 hours in Nebraska media. We've got everything from Hurrdat Sports Live to the message boards. We got you covered here. It's split up in hottest takes, coldest takes, lukewarm takes, and also by medium. So this is a TikTok only. This is a message board. Here are your radio shows. Here are your podcasts. I imagine this cross-reference thing here where he's just flipping through. It's got like the tabs and the color marked tabs and everything. That probably doesn't happen, but I also would not be surprised if something like that did happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Where it's like, hey, here's a rundown of every idiot that said anything over the last 48 hours. Here you go.
Because you and I have been in those probably once or twice.
He absolutely has to have some way to consume this information, and he can't be doing it all himself because there's too much of it. But he does have a really good pulse on what people are thinking.
Yeah.
And it's kind of uncanny. And he seems to...
And he's comfortable addressing it.
So that's the thing. He seems to care what people are thinking.
Yeah.
He doesn't necessarily seem to be influenced by it.
Yeah.
Right? But he does seem to care and genuinely want to address some of the things that people are talking about, because I think, he's talked a lot about the program not belonging to him anymore. And he's usually referencing, I'm turning it over to the players. This is a player ran accountability, all things like that. I also think he does recognize that on a larger scale, the program belongs to the people of the state of Nebraska.
Right.
Right. Where he goes, hey, this is your program. I'm just in charge of guiding it for a while.
Well,
right.
And he even slightly referenced that in his Frost comments, where I thought it was interesting how he phrased it and said, we're trying to make this a great job.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to make this the best job available.
I mean, let's get to that, because do we have the clip?
You want to run it? We'll
see. Let's run the clip here, because I mean, we've talked about it a couple of times. Let's play the clip, and because I didn't love parts of his answer here.
I think this is a Rico or Shane. Who's got it, do you think?
I can play it.
Okay, let's do that.
First of all, I have a ton of respect for Scott. And I've always been very empathetic for what he went through, because, this was his home. If you guys fire me tomorrow, I'm just going to go back to Cape May and sit on the beach and go back to where I'm from. But, this was his home, right? And so, this offseason, we put up a huge picture of Scott as a player in the coach's area, because I took a picture and I sent it to Ryan Callahan down there, because I can't imagine what that feels like for him, right? I know what it felt like to get run out of Carolina. And I would say to people, I don't think I took the right job for me. It wasn't the right fit. That doesn't mean it's a bad. No, I will say this. This was not a good job when I got here. We were behind on NIL. The facilities weren't what they were. Everything was behind. Trev convinced me, hey, Matt, this is going to, by the time we get to the point where we're going to be able to pay players, this is the only Big Ten school with no debt. We're going to, this, right now we're talking about 20.5. It's going to go up percentages every year. And we're at a place where we have the best facility in football. We have everything that we could want. We make more of an investment in nutrition than any other team in the country. I mean, look at all of our sports. Look at how they're all blossoming right now because of the investments we're making in nutrition, sports science. There wasn't a sauna in the facility when we first got there. And now you got to pick between a steam room, a sauna, an infrared sauna, your personal sauna. Those were investments. Scott came at a time that he had COVID, he had all these different things. So I can't talk about his time. But what I can say was, this wasn't a good job. Yeah, it was not a good job. But we've made it a good job, and we're about to make it a great job. This will be one of the best jobs in the country. And that's why sometimes recruits will say, Coach, if you win, what are you going to do? I'm like, I'm going to stay right here. The only thing I ever think about is getting a lake house in one of these lakes in Nebraska I keep hearing about.
Ashland?
I don't think that one exists yet, but they're working on it. I wouldn't surprise me if that's where he ends up with his lake house there. No, so, I mean, there's a couple things there. Number one, I mostly expected what we heard, in the sense that Coach Rhule was going to be overly gracious to Frost in his comments. That's who he is. He was always going to give him more grace than he probably deserves based on his time here. But that's who Coach Rhule is. That's how he is with other coaches. That's how he is. I mean, he gives Dion more grace than Dion deserves sometimes. Like, he is always complimentary about other coaches, and he wasn't going to throw anybody under the bus. That's just not who he is.
And it's also par for what he has said previously about Frost too.
Absolutely. And so I'm not super surprised by that. What I will say is part of the reason this wasn't a great job when Matt Rhule took over is because of Scott Frost.
Fair.
Like, the job was different when Scott Frost was hired than it was when Matt Rhule was hired. You had 5 years of it becoming a worse job because of Scott Frost, right? And I get, listen, Coach Rhule is always going to be like, hey, we're not going to be like, it's this guy's fault, that's that guy's fault, and whatever. But I can do that because I'm not in the program, and I'm not actively trying to fix it from the inside, right? Obviously, we all want it to be fixed, but we're not in the same positions that he is. So I can sit here and I can place blame and accountability where I think it belongs. And listen, he's right in the sense that there wasn't always great alignment under Frost.
Yep.
Guess what? There wasn't great alignment under Bo either, and they didn't ever go 3-9. They didn't ever miss a bowl game. They didn't ever, by the way, win fewer than 8 games. So he's right in some of the things that he was talking about. Nebraska's facilities were behind when they started the project under Frost and Moose. That ended up being completed, I think, finally completed last year, right? So, like, they were behind on some things. Everybody was behind on NIL at that point. NIL didn't exist when Frost was here, right? Like, Nebraska was starting to get going. They might have been behind when Coach Rhule got here, but that wasn't an issue until Scott Frost's second to last year in the program. It's 2021, I believe, or not even. 2021 was transfer portal. I think NIL didn't actually kick in until 2022. So I might be getting those dates wrong. But for most of Scott Frost's tenure, NIL wasn't an active issue. So I sit here and I go, okay, he's right that when he took the job, it had eroded in some of its quality.
Yeah.
But that, like, if it had eroded, Scott Frost was the rain, right? Like, he was the water running through, eroding this job. And I don't love the fact that there's just not, like, I don't like that he called it a bad job. If I'm just being honest, I don't like that he called it a bad job. It bothers me because I don't ever think it was a bad job. He got to the analogy later that makes more sense to me.
And Rico's got the second half of that if you want to.
Yeah, does he got the part about the mansion?
I believe so, yeah. So, Rico, whenever you get a chance, we'll have that
go ahead
video
and play
going
that
up too.
Maybe. Anyway, there's a part where he's talking about.
But the thing is like, you walk in and everyone's like, well, that was Scott's fault. You know, in Carolina, said that was Matt's fault. But, like, good programs, like, it's everybody. So, like, why are we going to win now? We're going to win because of Troy. We're going to win because of Tom Pede. We're going to win because of Sean Pede. Like, if the Pedes don't do what they did in 1890 and the investment they made this spring, we're dead. Like, we're dead. Because these other schools, like, they have all of this. And so the investment that Pedes made, the investments we're about to make in this stadium. Now, I don't know what the stadium is, so don't ask me, because I purposely don't know. So when people ask me, I can be like, hey, guys, I have no idea. But I keep hearing about what the stadium's going to be. But Trev articulated it, and what Troy's done is Troy's come in, and he's not been afraid to take heat. He's made decisions that he feels like are right, and that's what makes it a good job. When your leaders are going to make decisions that they think are right, no matter what the public outcry is, then you have a chance to be really, really successful. So think about the job I took. Trev's gone, Admiral Carter's gone, but now I got Jeff Gold, I've got Troy Dannon, I've got Haven Susan, I've got all the things that you could need. So I think Scott was just talking about for him wasn't the right fit, and I respect that, and I feel for him, and I want him to always know, like, man, like, the things he did at this school, like, I want him always to feel like he could come back and has a home there. That being said, it's the right job for me. And Julie knew it, like, she's sitting over there, like, she told me the day we interviewed, she's like, that's the right job for you. Because I like to go into a place that, like, needs fixed and try to start. I like starting with, like, the nutrition program, and, like, I like starting with the sports science. Like, even if there was no sports science really, but I like starting with all that stuff. And, like, there were 24 ACLs in the 4 years before I got there. There were 49 major knee injuries. There was an old beat-up turf field outside. There was a bad grass field outside, and, like, that costs money to fix. You should see our grass right now. It looks like Augusta. out there, like the grass practice fields. And so I just want to make sure I always say, like, everyone can point and say what went wrong. It takes everybody saying, hey, what's my area? Courtney just redoing the whole facility. Haven just making sure we have everything we need. And so I think it's a great job now.
So, and he didn't get to the part with where he's kind of describing the mansion, which is the analogy I think makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Great house, great bones, outdated, right?
Mm-hmm.
Needs new wallpaper, needs new landscaping, needs painted, needs new appliances, whatever. Foundation's great. They already replaced the roof, or the roof was being replaced. That would be the new facility, whatever, right? Those big houses, roofs cost like 6 figures. Like those were the things, and that's the right analogy to me. I don't think this was ever a bad job. There are truly bad jobs in college football. He's taken 2 of them.
Yeah.
This wasn't a bad job. And the thing that, so I got my dates correct here. Transfer portal and modern transfer portal and NIL both started in the offseason before 2021.
Yep.
So he had 3 full years before that. And I would argue when NIL started in 2021, Nebraska was actually on par. Now they fell behind money-wise in a hurry, partially because people lost faith in Scott Frost.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Like 3-9 in 2021 impacts the NIL money you have at that point.
And maybe that's what he meant by saying maybe bad job was the wrong terminology. Maybe it was a rough spot because
Yes.
it wasn't necessarily up to standard where the rest of college football was at that time.
Yeah, and that's totally fair. But we're talking about for the vast majority of Scott Frost's tenure, this wasn't the position that Scott Frost left it in.
Yeah.
And so Coach Rhule can sit here and say, hey, like, this wasn't a great job. And compared to some of the other jobs he may have been offered, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't in the spot where some of the other SEC jobs he was looking at were at in terms of NIL and some of these other things. That's totally fair. But overall, I've always said this, the infrastructure of this program has always been very, very solid.
Yeah.
You have to get alignment. That's a totally fair thing. But I would argue nobody didn't want Scott Frost to succeed.
Yeah.
When he got hired.
Mm-hmm.
Not a soul. President, AD, like literally Bill Moose got hired to hire Scott Frost. That was his own, that was his main job.
Yeah.
When he got hired. After that, he was like, all right, I'm done here. And he went back to Montana. And still got paid for a few more years, which, like, good on you, bud. But you go, like, everybody wanted Scott Frost to succeed early on. Now, you can make an argument when he hires Trev, and Trev maybe doesn't like the way he's running things, that you start to have a little bit of disalignment here.
Right.
But you're going to tell me anybody was more disaligned than Sean Eichhorst and Bo Pelini?
Yeah. Well, I think another part of what we just heard from Rhule, too, which also we do need to give shout out to MTV for allowing us to use that. Darren Winberg out in Kearney. Tri-Cities able to use that.
Central Nebraska.
Central Nebraska, as the kids say. But one thing that Rhule is so good at this, that he's saying something without saying it very directly, that the field was a mess. A lot of things were behind. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of stuff, like you said, the infrastructure and everything. That all happened when he took over the job and he recognized these things needed to be fixed and improved. It takes someone to actually speak up and say, hey, your fields are behind. Your facilities are not up to standard with wherever your conference level is or wherever you deem this program to be. Mm-hmm. It takes someone who can recognize that and also call it out. So without even saying, hey, the past coach's regime, that was kind of a little bit of an issue. He did kind of somewhat come out and say, yeah, they weren't up to standard because people weren't keeping up to the standard.
So that's the thing. Like if Scott Frost had the overall vision to say, hey, these are the things we need to be successful, then, like, you think anybody would have said no to that man when he got hired?
Yeah.
Like, he was like, hey, we need new practice fields. This is a mess.
Yes.
Done.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We need, like, they literally started building the facility, the training facility project. Like, he said they needed new facilities got done. Like, there were a lot of things that it's not like Coach Rhule came in here and somebody else said these things needed fixed. Like, he was the one being like, hey, we need new practice fields.
Yep.
I want to go to grass fields. I'm tired of this turf. We need more sports science money. We need more nutrition money. That's the job of being a head coach.
Yeah.
Right. And I understand he was going to take the Scott Frost comments in the most gracious way possible because that's who he is and that's who he was going to represent publicly.
And as Tim said in chat too, no upside to
absolutely.
Yeah.
I didn't expect him to say anything negative about. I didn't expect him to say anything negative about Scott Frost
because you get some positive local headlines from saying nice things about Scott Frost. you get all national headlines for saying something negative about Scott Frost.
Absolutely. And which is why Scott Frost keeps saying negative things about Nebraska, because it gets him back in the headlines.
Yeah.
Like I didn't expect him to say anything negative about Scott Frost. I thought he overstated the condition the program was in without properly identifying why it was in that position. Right? Like you can say, hey, the program was in a rough spot. That's accurate. It was in a rough spot because of the previous head coach. Right? Like Mike Riley handed off a better program, at least infrastructure-wise, to Scott Frost than Scott Frost did to Matt Rhule. Right? There was an erosion there. And that's the only part that bothered me. Like I don't like sitting here and hearing somebody say it's a bad job, because I don't think it's ever been a bad job.
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever been a bad job. I think it's been a job where certain things needed updated and fell behind, things like that. But the core of what this program has always had the potential to be nationally relevant again.
Yeah.
Always. And that's not something you can say about a lot of jobs. Like, you can go down to Mississippi State, and I don't think they've got the core of what it takes to be nationally relevant. You can go down to Vandy, and I don't think they've got the core of what it takes to be nationally relevant.
They have Diego Pavia.
Sure. You can go to, I would even argue, go to places like Oklahoma State now that the T. Boone Pickens things, we're not really sure where the money's coming from and things like that. That program's in a rough spot. They had some money for a while, but I don't know that they built the infrastructure with that money to continually be nationally relevant. They had a couple years in the 2000s where they really popped, and that was about it. Like, there's a lot of these programs where you look around and you go, I'll even say, like, that was an issue at Miami for a while. Like, but Miami was in more of a place where Nebraska. They needed to update and fix a lot of things, but they had the core of what they needed, minus really fan support. Like, they're doing that all without the level of fan support that's common in college football. So, like, I don't like that it was characterized as a bad job. I wonder if he had it to do over again, if he would use a different term. I'm not gonna kill him over that.
Yeah.
But it didn't sit great with me. I think his explanation made more sense, but I don't like people sitting here and saying it's a bad job. That's always going to sit bad with me, because I just don't think it's true.
Well, and I know it's the same sentiment that you said before, that it's one of those slides where you and I did not go to the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, so we don't have ties to the direct affiliation of the university, but it's the largest representation of this state. And so when you say, well, Nebraska football is a bad job or was ever a bad job, it makes it sound like the entire state is not worth, the fight. It's not worth the job itself.
Yeah, and it is. And I probably take those things too personally, because it does hit close to home. But I do think it's a slight mischaracterization. I think his description of what the job was later made sense, but I don't think you can ever say it was a bad job. Were there better jobs? For sure.
Yeah. But hey, one sentence out of an entire Big Ten media days.
I mean, listen,
the rest of it is fantastic. But I hear your argument where you're saying that doesn't sit well. But everything else that we heard about the team this upcoming year and everything else, positive to the moon.
The thing that bothers me about it is I just know that's the clip that's going to go viral.
Yeah.
Is that like, oh, well, it's not a good job, or it wasn't a good job, right? Like, that's the clip that's going to get, if anything gets picked up nationally, it's not going to be like, hey, this is a mansion and I don't have to fix the foundation or anything like that. I just need to throw some paint on there and update everything. Like, that's not the part of the quote that's going to go viral. The part of the quote that's going to go viral is, yeah, he was right. It's not a good job, right? When Scott Frost took over a different job than Matt Rhule did. Like, those are very different things. So, I mean, when Scott Frost took over, it was literally 1 year removed from being 7-0 and a top 10 team in the country. 1 year removed from that.
Yep.
Right? Like, so when people are like, hey, this is a program that hadn't been to a bowl in 7 years. Yeah, like, that happened when Matt Rhule took over. But we were talking about the comments of when Scott Frost took over. Wasn't a bad job when Scott Frost took over, right? Like, absolutely was not. There was a much better place. And Scott Frost left the cupboard bare in more ways than one. And so, yeah, like, I can see where he's coming from when he's talking about that. But I'm talking about the perspective of where it was in 2017 when Frost takes over. And that just simply was not the case.
Yeah.
It absolutely was not. That being said, I hope that's not the clip that goes viral, because there was a lot of other great stuff that was said.
Yeah.
We can get to more of that, and we've got a bunch more audio clips and things like that. I think we might have some extra video as well. I'm not sure if that got chopped up because I sent it to you super late at night, so that's my bad. That's totally on me.
You were sending messages out at like 10:45, and I was like, oh boy. I woke up this morning and I was like, we'll see.
I don't know, bud. Totally fair. That's on me.
Were you busy?
I went out to dinner.
Nice.
It's
On a
fine.
Tuesday? On a Tuesday.
Yeah, I go out to dinner just when I'm hungry.
Okay.
I gotta
Make me
eat.
feel bad about myself. Sorry, my bad.
You were out last night too.
You don't know that?
I do. You sent a picture.
That's could have been an old photo. Could have been. No, I said I was trying to get the pulse of the nation. I was trying to see what was going on.
Yeah, out amongst the people.
I was, yes, and I was asking random questions, and I was just saying, "Hey, what did you guys think?" And the most of the response was, "Now, who said this?"
So CWS Austin is just who you are all the time out at bars.
Yes.
You just don't have a mic or a camera.
Yeah.
You're just going around being like, "So how hot is it out here?"
Yeah, pretty
today?"
much. Yeah. Well, so to be completely clear, Dr. Girlfriend's on overnights this week. So when I have like the bachelor pad open and I don't know what to do with myself, I go out into the city and I venture
amongst the people
to see
There
what I
you
can see what I can do, see what I can find, drum up some interest.
See what you can conjure up out there. Did you have fun?
I did. It was a good time.
That's good.
I did. I'd met a couple of like friends down there. We
Yeah.
had kind of like pre-organized it,
Mhm.
and then they started to like depart, and a couple of other people that had like overheard us talking about some stuff had like come over and talked to me for like a minute or two. That was kind of nice to be able to just like interact with like new people, and they were very interested in
Hanging out with randos.
I guess. And then they were also talking about like Big Ten Media Days stuff,
Yeah.
and they were. The two guys that I talked to when I was like trying to leave, I was doing a classic like walk closer to the door as I'm trying
Yeah.
to like get out of there. But they were biting my ear off about Cignetti. They couldn't get enough of what like Cignetti had to say, and I was like, "Sure, man. I don't like if that's your forte." Like I wasn't completely tuned in on what Sig had to say, but to each their own, I suppose.
Best season in Indiana history.
And it's history.
It is.
David brings up a good point. Let's not gloss over the fact that he said it's a good job now and it's going to be a great job soon.
Yeah.
So that's a good point as well. Like they have done the necessary things to bring Nebraska up to speed, whether it's the facility, the NIL, all of that. They've done a great job of bringing that up to speed. So I appreciate you bringing that up, David. Let's take a quick break here. We'll come back with more stuff from Big Ten Media Days and Dylan saying, let's win a national title. Let's just do it.
Why not?
Hey, why not us?
Yeah. 10-2 gets you in, right?
That's awesome. I'm Ravi. We'll be back. More Hurrdat Sports Live.
Joined now by Jack McVay, another Husker alum. Jack, what is it like getting back to having an NBA chance here in the U.S.?
No, I mean, that's what it's all about. That's the dream. That's what 5-year-old Jack was dreaming about, and to be out here in the Summer League, playing for a great club like Atlanta and having a crack at playing and helping a team win.
How did you initially come back to America from Australia to get back into this NBA realm?
Initially, I just got good. It's a simple way to put it. Like, it was a long journey. There was so much to work on, and I kind of just never gave up and kept chipping away, hammering the rock, and it eventually broke. And I've been lucky enough now to spend last year over here and hoping for another year.
Yeah, so what kept you motivated? What kept you going?
I mean, I just love the game. Like basketball, I'm grateful every day that I get to play hoops. And then just improving is fun. Like trying to have a goal, have a challenge, like trying to overcome the obstacles that come in the way. Like that's what gets me going. That's what I love to do.
4 Husker alums are at NBA Summer League. Jawan Gary is one of them. Jawan, what does it mean to be a part of this group here for Nebraska and just representing?
It means a lot. Just the opportunity to just be in the Summer League. It's a blessing, just to get that call from the Clippers just to come up here and join this group of guys just to learn the experience of how the NBA works. I've been in school for 6 years, though. Just being out here, seeing the vets.
I think we can be a great team.
In the league for a long period of time, just go out there and play hard. But at the end of the day, this is a blessing just to be up here for sure.
So where were you at when you got that call or text from the Clippers that you were going to play?
I'm actually at home, chilling with my folks. We was watching the draft and everything. The second day went by, and it was crazy. They called me on a Sunday, Laura's Day, stuff like that. And I was just sitting there, and what's crazy, one of the players that Purdue, Fletcher Lawyer, his dad called me like, you know my son, we played against y'all 3 years since I've been there. I was like, who your son? He said Fletcher Lawyer. So just the connection of how that works and stuff like that. But just getting that call, being around my family, they was excited. My mom cried, auntie cried, everybody was just, bawling tears. But, just a kid from Columbia, South Carolina, just getting a call from just a big team like the LA Clippers, it means a lot to me for sure like that. So it was a good feeling the day I got that call.
At Sjuts Federal Credit Union, we understand that the journey of building your own business typically starts with modest beginnings. With a little help from our team of experts and small business loan offerings, you can take your vision and transform it into a more concrete reality. Sjuts Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
I've taken a lot of jobs, and when you walk into a job that hasn't been winning, everyone tells you what's wrong, and they usually say, well, it's this guy, it's that guy, it's the last coach, it's this, it's that. Good organizations win because everyone owns the product. Like very rarely on a bad team, when you take over a bad team, do you hear people say, you know what, I got to do better. And the reason why I believe that we're about to make the jump that we're going to make is because each and every day, whether it's our administration, whether it's the people around us, no one's saying it's this person's fault, it's that person's fault. Everyone's owning the product. And so, yes, we have to win more. That's the deal. But we came into a program that, we knew was going to take a little bit of time to fix. And so I think we're close to fixed. In terms of something I would have told myself when I was younger, there's a lot of things, but I think the most important thing is don't underestimate the impact you can have on young people's lives. I'm at a point now where guys that I've coached are getting married, they're getting jobs, they're going through good things and bad things, and every once in a while you have someone say, you know what, something that I was taught from Coach Rhule or one of his assistants is helping me in my life, and that might not be popular on sports talk radio, but it is how life works.
Welcome back. Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Sjuts Federal Credit Union, reminding you if you're driving this morning, make sure you keep those eyes focused and straight ahead. You've got one job as a driver, that's to drive. Don't get distracted. This message from the NDOT Highway Safety Office. There is a part of me that wonders if he was sort of trying to incept us by telling us how
do the spinning top.
Yeah, to tell us as I'm listening to that answer, and thinking back at some of his other answers as our chat is kind of going back and forth on how they felt that or how they took what he meant.
The chat's on attack today.
I do wonder if part of him just reiterating how bad the job was when he took it over, or how bad of a condition the program was in, was just him reminding us, obviously we all know who the coach was before he got here. So how do we think the job got to that position where Coach Rhule can say things like, yeah, they were behind on everything, and they had about 50 knee injuries when I got here. And there's only so many times you can say it before, maybe he's he can be a little snarky sometimes. I
Yeah.
just wonder if there's a part of him that was like, yeah, I'm just going to talk about how bad of a condition everything was left in when I got here.
Well, and he even referenced it too about when because someone had brought up Dylan. And, how do you convince a guy like Dylan to come to your program instead of, going on to somewhere else? And I thought he had a great answer with that. And he even made a slight reference in how maybe he and Dylan are actually just kindred spirits in the same way, where he had said, you could go to an Ohio State, you could go to a Georgia, and you could be playing for a national championship, and it would be easy to do that. And they're going to ask you to make one or two throws in a big game, and you can win those games. But it's harder to do it here at Nebraska, and it would be more impactful if you brought Nebraska back. And I almost wonder if he was speaking out of his own term, too.
Yeah.
The way that he spoke about how he recruited Dylan, because he said it's going to be hard, and you have to accept the challenge. And he was talking about what he's seen different from Dylan in year 1 to year 2. But it almost felt at times that he was talking about himself that, yeah, it was really bad here. It was going to be a struggle. It was going to be tough in year 1. Year 2 was going to be harder. That's why it just sounds like the confidence level of year 3 is shooting through the roof more and more, because he knew how bad it was and how far they had to come from year 1 and where they are now, not only in terms of the players, but also maybe himself as a coach.
Yeah, I do. The other part that I thought was interesting about him talking about how he recruited Dylan was talking about Dylan's future as an NFL quarterback, right?
Yep.
He goes, okay, basically it was like, hey, if you are who everyone thinks you are, right? Top pick in the draft or one of the top picks in the draft, you're going to go to a bad team in a bad city, and it's going to be the first time in your football life that you've had to figure things out. He's like, you probably don't want that to happen at the NFL level. Like, if your goal is to get that first contract and that first guaranteed money and that first paycheck, then that's a fine way to operate.
Yep.
But if your goal is to have long-term impact and money and legacy as an NFL quarterback, then you better figure out how to build a team before you get to the NFL level and are asked how to do it. Because, I mean, he is right. You look at a lot of these guys that struggle, and it is the first time they've really struggled as a quarterback or really had to go into a place where they didn't have all the best talent around them or went into a place where they weren't clearly the best player in the league or the conference or whatever, right? And so you look at some of the guys like, I mean, both Trevor Lawrence is a great example.
Yeah. He's only had success until he got to Jacksonville.
I mean, how many times did you, and listen, you want guys that win, right?
Yes.
Like that's part of it too. But how many times do we hear like Trevor Lawrence hasn't lost a game in like 8 years or whatever, right? Or he hadn't lost a game as a starter in however long.
Or he'd only lost a regular season game since he was in middle school or something.
Yes,
something like that.
All this crazy stuff, right? And then he goes to Jacksonville, a bad team in a bad city that doesn't have all the talent around him, and he struggled. I don't question Trevor Lawrence's talent ever, famously, but and I still don't.
Yeah.
I do question whether he was prepared to turn around a program that he had never experienced anything like that before.
Yeah.
Like that is a genuinely difficult position and a really interesting recruiting pitch to a guy like Dylan. Obviously, there were other ties here that made that pitch even worth hearing to him. But you bring up a good point. I do wonder if they're kindred spirits in the sense that, hey, it's more fulfilling to build something than it is to just be the next guy in line.
Yeah.
Right?
And we always assumed the recruitment of Dylan was partly because of mostly legacy and last name, right? That it was, imagine what you could be if you bring Nebraska back successfully. And it was always it was almost like a Roman Coliseum type pitch from like Husker fans. And even in my own belief, that was, think of the statues and where your name will be placed and how you will become a legend in Lincoln comparative to anywhere else that you could play college football across the nation. But instead, Rhule sets this entire different precedent and standard of something I'd never even considered, that, no, Dylan chose us because it was going to be hard and it was going to be difficult. And Rhule even answered my own question about why would you send Dylan out to Big Ten Media Days to address all that stuff. And he said, this is because I trust Dylan, and I know that he's going to be successful because I've seen it from him in practice. I've seen it from him and how he's a different leader now and how he's no longer asking people like, hey, let's get up. Like, we got to get going. We're going to get moving. It's no, you're either riding with me or you're not. And just the different in what everything we have heard from Rhule about Dylan from his freshman year, from his recruitment to where he is now, it feels like we're talking about a quarterback that's not 19 or 20 years old. It's a guy that's in his third or fourth year in the league, and he's not just figured it out, but he is leading others to get them on the right track with him.
Yeah, I mean, you think about, and Rhule said this at the end of his opening larger segment with the entire media, and he goes, talking about the pain of losing at Iowa and things like that. And he goes, sometimes it's the pain you need.
Yep.
Right? Sometimes the pain is necessary to get where you want to go, whether you're training for an Ironman. Were there times where that sucked?
Yes. Every day.
Were there times where that was genuinely painful?
Yeah. Mostly coming to work and people making fun of my lunchbox, but yes. Yeah.
I mean, physically,
physically, yes.
Outside of the lunchbox taunts.
Yes.
I was an amateur power lifter.
Mm-hmm.
There were times where that was very painful.
But there's
right?
there's no success without pain, right?
So that's the point.
Yeah.
Right. The point is whether you're Dylan taking over a great program like Ohio State or Georgia, at some point the pain will come.
Yep.
Right. At some point, I would argue you're better off as not just an athlete, but as a human being if you experience some of that pain earlier, so it's not foreign to you by the time by the time something real hits you, right? Because I mean, there's people we all know people, right? They've had a pretty fortunate existence, and that's not to say nothing bad's ever happened to them. But the first time something really bad hits them is later in life, and they don't know what to do with it.
Yep.
Right. That's not going to be the case for Dylan. That's obviously not the case for Coach Rhule, where he has had to go through the suck in order to come out the other side multiple times, right? He had to go through Temple and Baylor, and then now he went through Carolina before he got to Nebraska.
Yep.
Dylan is going to be better off going through the pain now than his first 3 years in the NFL.
Yeah.
Then when he finally gets drafted and they go, okay, all of a sudden you're sitting here and you go, I don't know how to do this.
Mm-hmm.
You hit a 6-game losing streak your first year in the NFL and you go, what do we do now? Right? He's been through that. Had a 4 or 5 game losing streak last year, and they figured it out because they still needed to make a bowl game, and so they came through. And they were able to do that. That to me is really crucial here, and to find guys that message resonates with is actually really crucial, right? Yep. We talked last week about certain guys getting offers or not getting offers or whatever, right? I think there's certain guys that embrace the pain coming early so that they can get through it and get better. That's one of the things that, I know Damon's not even here. We'll talk to him later, but that's one of the things I love about Caleb.
Yeah.
Caleb seems like one of those guys, and I know him a little bit. We're not tight or anything.
Well,
but
DB's referenced it himself, too.
DB's referenced it. Obviously, I've talked to him myself. I really like Caleb as just a human being, but that's a kid that is willing to embrace the crap, right? Because he knows when he gets out on the other side of it, damn near unstoppable, right?
Yeah, I don't think Caleb, again, I don't know him as well as even you do, but I don't think Caleb chose to go to Nebraska because he was like, I'm going to be a first-year starter. I'm going to go out and play for 4 straight years, and then I'm off to the league after that. I think he knew the struggle he was going to get into.
I mean, this can be for anybody. I mean, this can be for Riley Van Poppel. This can be for Keona Davis. This can be for Vincent Shavers. This can be for Willis McGahee. This can be for Donovan Jones. This can be for Caleb Benning. You don't think they were sitting there last year as Nebraska's going through their struggles mid-season, and they're thinking I can play now.
Yeah.
Right. I can win now. I can help us win now. But they all went through the crap, in their instance, not getting the opportunities they wanted for whatever reason.
Yep.
Maybe the coaching staff didn't think they were ready. Maybe they weren't practicing consistently at a level.
We know RVP felt that.
Right. Yeah. Maybe they weren't practicing consistently at a level where the coaches felt like they had earned that trust or earned that opportunity. Right. You hear it all the time. We heard it last year. It's like, hey, you got to stop the run to earn the right to rush the passer, right?
Yep.
Doesn't mean he's not good enough to rush the passer right now. It means he hasn't earned the right to get to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think when you look at the guys Nebraska recruits, how many did I just name? 9?
Yeah.
Just on defense, and all guys that are, in their second year in the program, basically. Yep. I think when Nebraska goes out and looks for guys, when you're talking about that mentality, when you're talking about what Coach Rhule is looking for and why some guys get an offer and why some guys don't and whatever else. I think if you could identify which guys embrace going through the pain and understanding that they'll be better for it, I bet you'll see those are the guys that have offers. I bet you'll see those are the guys that Nebraska goes hard after. And I'll bet you'll see, and that's, again, doesn't mean any of the other kids are bad kids or not good football players. They're not going to be successful. Nebraska's looking for something very specific, and I'd be surprised if I could give Coach Rhule some truth serum if he didn't say that was one of the things he was looking for.
And we even heard from Vers last week when I asked him about sending Lutovsky out. And I asked, I was like, of all the linemen, is that the one that you wanted to hear from? He's like, yeah. If you knew his story, if you knew the crap that he had been through and everything that he had to go through and the person that he was 2 years ago to the person he is now and the player he is now and the leader that he is now, yeah, you would want to hear that story. You would want to hear Henry Lutovsky out there talking about what he has been through to get to where he is now. That's the type of character building that Nebraska football has had to go through for 2 years, but it's almost, I mean, in a sicko way, it's probably what Rhule, like, you don't ever want to have to go through that, but there's probably a deep, dark part of Rhule that's like, I'm so glad that we had to suffer because now we're ready for it.
How many times has he said stuff during game weeks where he's like, man, I kind of hope they just return the first kick for a touchdown.
Yeah.
Just to see what we do when we're punched in the face. I kind of hope it's 20 degrees out with 40-mile-an-hour winds and raining and sleeting. He's like, I just want to see how we react. Like, how many times has he said something like that in game week? And we're like, oh, Coach Rhule just like,
yeah, maybe
that's just how he operates. Maybe he thinks, hey, if you put the crappiest situation in front of me, that's where I win.
Yeah.
That's where I know that I can be better than you.
He's a football sicko, man.
He is, and I love it.
Yeah.
He's a football sicko.
He's our sicko.
He's our sicko. No, I absolutely love it. Coming up next, we're going to talk to Vinnie Iyer. NFL training camps are opening this week as well. Lot going on in the NFL. We'll talk to Vinnie here in just a minute. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to talk to DB at 9 o'clock. I believe will be at the airport on his way home from Vegas.
Think we can get an airport review from him?
Maybe. He's been to Vegas, I think, several times, so he should have a pretty good grasp on Vegas. Then we'll talk to Kevin Sjuts, who's also out in Vegas, here at 8:30 as well. That's awesome. I'm Ravi. It's Hurrdat Sports Live.
Avery Howard here at Dylan Raiola in Las Vegas for Big Ten Media Days. Dylan, your day is really just getting started, but what are the first impressions of Media Day so far?
Kind of shocked. Kind of shocked that I'm here in Vegas, but it's fun to kind of see all the other schools, see some players that I know. It's been fun so far.
Over the weekend, you told us you were really excited about the outfit. Can you give us a quick breakdown of what we got going on here?
So I got it all black with the little red piping. I got some spikes on my shoes, and then the inside, I've been actually practicing, because people are going to want to see the inside, so I got the card chips for Vegas. So this will be the only time I wear this.
One and only time. Well, you are going into year two,
yeah.
And confidence, you can tell, is building for you. You've talked about just your leadership going into year two. How have you seen yourself grow from year one going into camp in about a week?
Yeah, just being able to have the confidence to call people out, talk to guys, and then even just being around each other. We've had a whole 2 years together. They kind of know me. They know I'm goofy and fun, but at the same time, when it's football time, we get down to business. So they trust me and they believe in me, so I'm excited.
Avery Howard here with Deshaun Singleton in Las Vegas for Big Ten Media Days. Deshaun, how's the day been so far? I know you said it's moving fast, but how would you say the day is going so far?
It's going great. It's just nonstop. I know we in Vegas, the lights and everything. It's like lights, camera, action the whole time around.
Yeah. Coach Rhule walked by and he wants me to ask you, how was the octopus at dinner last night?
It was smooth. I like it. It was cool. It wasn't nothing crazy.
It was Coach's request. We got that one in. Speaking of Coach Rhule, you guys have a pretty special relationship, and it's one of the reasons why you decided to come back. How would you describe your relationship with your head coach and why it was important for you to come back to Nebraska?
Man, he wants nothing but the best for me. You know what I'm saying? And dealing with a coach like that, you want to do nothing but fight for him. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to leave a legacy for Nebraska, and knowing I left being a winner. So, yeah.
You say legacy. What does that look like for you?
For me, knowing that I came out and gave it everything I had, I didn't shortcut nothing. I didn't cut no corners. I gave it my all.
Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's Austin. I'm Ravi here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Don't forget to check out their summer specials with a Chicago dog, the Philly steak pizza, or the Cajun shrimp wrap. Make sure you get in here to Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, either in La Vista or Gretna, and check out the summer specials. One of our specials today is talking to our friend Vinnie Iyer from the Sporting News, covering the NFL. Vinnie, how are you this morning?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So as NFL training camps open, there's been a lot of player movement. There's been a lot of contract negotiations and struggles. The thing that I have to start with is Jerry Jones, like, do you feel like he's losing his marbles a little bit? Because I sit here and I go, okay, it's one thing to not have the Micah Parsons deal done. That's fine, whatever. They work through it. But to kind of have your quarterback, Dak Prescott, catch a stray in the middle of one of those answers about, it's like, well, we made him the highest quarterback in the league, and we barely got to see him play. Like, as you listen to that, what is going through your mind of how he's trying to run this operation?
Yeah, I think he's a guy that's always trying to please his guys, right? I mean, going back to the Emmitt Smith deal where they were trying to defend their championship and he was out, and they had a tough loss, I believe, at home. And then Emmitt held out, and then they paid him, and then everything was good. So ever since that Emmitt Smith issue that they had during their Super Bowl dynasty, they've been always like, we're going to please our guys. We're going to pay them. We're going to always find a way to pay them. And that's been the case, and Jerry Jones has never gone off that. Maybe he still has a memory of that, even though they're not winning Super Bowls right now. I think he just says, I got to get my best players locked up. I got to get them locked up. So, again, I think he's probably tired of the questions, because he probably says, look, I've always shown them big-time money no matter what. And if they're deemed as a central player, you definitely look at that.
So, Vinny, if it comes down to which offseason has been more turbulent, the Cowboys, I think, are catching up to the Bengals, but would you still give the lead in the race to Cincinnati? Because it feels like they've just done nothing right so far to keep the bad PR from coming in.
Yeah, and it's also the wrong side of the ball. Defensively, where they were terrible last year, they're trying to install a new system with Al Golden. So it's really hard when Trey Hendrickson's not in the mix, Jamar Stewart, two guys that are the same position, the pass rush. So it's just really hard to kind of put all your things together to try to have an improved defense. So unfortunately, it looks like a lot is going to fall on Joe Burrow and the offense. Good news is that they're loaded and they can outscore a lot of teams, but how long is that going to last? I mean, we saw that it wasn't enough to get them in the playoffs last year, and Burrow and Chase had remarkable seasons together. So I don't know. Like, it's tough. Maybe just the scheme will make them a little bit better. Maybe play more complementary football to their offense, but it's tough. I mean, when you don't have two guys that are counting on your first-round pick and your best pass rusher leading the league in sacks, I mean, that's just a hard thing to recover from when you're trying to establish everything else on the defense.
Yeah, Vinny, with the Bengals there, I'm sitting here thinking, and yeah, they might try and outscore everybody, but it's also hard for me to imagine that Joe Burrow is going to have a better year than he had last year. I mean, maybe even, right? But it's hard to imagine anybody having much better of a year than he had last year. Like, it seems a little bit like fool's gold to run it back, or maybe it's just straight insanity to run it back and say, well, hey, this didn't work last year when we had one of the best quarterbacking seasons maybe of all time. Let's try that again.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is I think that's how Bengals fans are going to feel while they have Joe Burrow, because they were so close to winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple plays, Aaron Donald doesn't get to him in the Super Bowl, and then all of a sudden Joe Burrow's looked at it in a different way, right up there with Mahomes in terms of having a ring. And I think that's the thing, is they believe that really, if you look at his body of work, he can be the guy that challenges Mahomes to be the best quarterback in the league when it comes to winning championships. So I think there's that frustration. It's like, give him a decent defense. It doesn't have to be great. He's going to carry you quite a bit. You give him a top-notch defense like we've seen Mahomes have in a couple years, it's going to be really hard to stop them. So I think they just want, okay, you got T. Higgins, you got Jamar Chase, you got Joe Burrow, fine. But now you need to get the defense on the other side to just be decent and really take advantage of having these guys.
Vinny, the AFC North, as we mentioned with the Bengals, they've got so much news that's happened in this offseason, whether it's been everything with the draft day scenarios with the Browns or the Steelers adding Aaron Rodgers. Have the Ravens done anything to kind of move their needle down, or do you still see them head and shoulders above the rest of that division?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, but I think the Ravens, I think they're the most stable team right now. The other teams are all going through transition, defensive scheme in Cincinnati, quarterback in Pittsburgh, and then Cleveland, who knows who their starter is going to be. So Baltimore, again, really the same question. I get the same questions asked about Baltimore and Buffalo. Just comes to executing the playoffs. There's not much more to say. They just have to win in the playoffs and beat the Chiefs. And that's the biggest thing they need to figure out for those two teams, because they've conquered the rest of the stuff.
Vinny, I think, and not just because I'm a fan, but I think the 49ers had a really interesting offseason, because obviously last year, everything that could go wrong went wrong for them in terms of injuries. And it seems like that happens about every other year for Kyle Shanahan. And that last year was their, hey, everybody's getting injured year. But then they also had, it's not like all those guys are coming back now. They had a ton of turnover. Some of the guys coming back from injury are going to be there, but they had a ton of turnover, especially on the defensive side of the ball over the last year as well. Where do you where do you land on them between guys coming back from injury, guys they got rid of, and guys they brought in, whether in free agency or the draft? Like, how are you evaluating the 49ers heading into training camp?
Well, I think you just look at Eagles, Commanders, Lions. You start there with the best contenders in the NFC, but then it's kind of wide open after that. Can San Francisco fill that void? Is it going to be the Rams again? Maybe jumping them in that division because of their young defense and their offense. That certainly could be the case. I think the biggest question is how much is Robert Saleh and that influence going to have just in restoring defensive strength. But a lot of questions offensively. Brandon Ayuk sells. You want in his contract. How much is left of Christian McCaffrey? What are you going to get from Brock Purdy with the contract? So there's so many questions there where I think they look more like a shaky division winner versus like one that I'm firm on versus those other teams contending for the Super Bowl.
You mentioned the Commanders there.
Yeah,
and
I was going to ask the same thing.
That's a super interesting one to me to kind of put in the teams you feel like just because it was sort of just it felt almost fluky last year. Not saying they don't have a good roster, not saying Jane Daniels isn't good, but it felt like they came out of nowhere. How confident are you? It seems like pretty confident. Why are you so confident in the fact that they'll be able to replicate what we saw from them last year?
Well, a lot of things haven't changed and have really improved. I mean, they've got a lot of defensive strengths here that have developed, and they got Deebo Samuel. That just adds another weapon to a young quarterback that's on the rise. And I think you'll see more of those complementary players step up for this team. And they got an offensive line that's better too. So everything is just better with the Commanders. And they're saying, hey, we got Daniels. We got to take advantage of this.
So as we look over to the AFC, obviously Chiefs, Bills, mentioned the Ravens. I would imagine those are your three givens in the AFC. Who's that next group for you there in the AFC of possible contenders?
Yeah, and this one is tougher because you have to dig a little bit deeper. But I think you look at some teams that could have quick turnarounds. I think Jaguars, just because of their offense and zone and some of the things they could do. So that's a team we're going to pay attention to see what that potential is, because we just saw it a few years ago with them. We have to see what the Chargers and Broncos are going to be doing. Following up, are they going to better battle the Chiefs, or are they still going to be kind of stuck scrapping for the wild card? And the Chargers, I think, left a lot to be desired in the playoffs, right? I mean, Justin Herbert's got to prove himself better in those situations. Is Bo Nix going to build on his season and really lead the Broncos? The Broncos, you'd say, right up there with the best defenses in the NFL right now. So can they get enough from their offense to really compete for a championship? And you just go to those coaches that you trust, Sean Payton, Jim Harbaugh. They're going to put those teams in position to compete every year.
Vinny, we've got kind of a unique setup here at Hurrdat Sports. We've got many different fans of different franchises, especially just the ones that are so far away. So last week we were talking between myself, a Panthers fan, and our resident New York Jets fan as to who may have the better setup for success as a young quarterback, either Bryce Young in Carolina or Justin Fields with the Jets. As you see it entering training camp, do you see one of those two having maybe a better setup that could lead to success and what probably could be a make or break year for both their careers?
Well, I think Justin Fields right now might have the better situation only because he's got Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, and very good offensive coaching staff coming over from Detroit. So I think there's some established stuff there. I think they're still trying to figure out all the weapons, I think, around what you have with Bryce Young. So there's some confidence there. I think Bryce Young might be the better overall quarterback, but Fields is the guy that you're looking at with the better support right now.
So as you're looking at, let's stay in the AFC East there for a second. Where are you on new head coach in New England, Drake May, second year? How do you feel about their progression from year to year?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot we're going to watch with their defense. I think that's the biggest question. They got to sort out the backfield. They got to find receivers. They're transitioning everything back to what they really wanted to do, probably. Plus Bill Belichick with Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels. Maybe this is what they really wanted for the succession plan of Bill Belichick. So kind of the clock starts a little bit over again, even though they have some young players.
Are we going to see Vrabel implement more of what we saw from him at Tennessee, where it's maybe not necessarily the ground and pound with Derrick Henry, but something similar to that where you rely on the defense, you shorten the game? Or is he going to let Drake May become more of that quarterback that a lot of people expect him to become, especially with how well he performed last year?
Well, I don't know if they have the luxury to do that with some of their weapons, right? And Stephon Diggs is coming off a major knee injury. He's aging. There's a bunch of young guys. No, like, true go-to guy. Maybe Hunter Henry is their best reliable target right now that they can count on in this offense. So I would think it's the latter. Like, I think they have to pound the ball. That's why they got Travion Henderson to go with Ramondre Stevenson. I think they pound the ball, try to play better defense, and try to win games that way. But I think if there's a lot of buzz about the Patriots, I would just calm it down a little bit. I think more you'll see that in 2026.
I'm really proud of us. We've gone 12 minutes and haven't brought up Aaron Rodgers yet, really. But it is time. So my normal co-host is a huge Steelers fan. He's trying to talk himself into the Aaron Rodgers signing. What is in your mind, what do you think is the most likely outcome from Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I think, look, for him, he has to play within himself and not try to do too much. And I know it's hard to say that. I mean, it's a cliche to say that. But for him, it's very important. Just not act like he's Mr. MVP with a strong arm anymore. The same, he still has a strong arm. I'm not going to take that away. But the ability to carry a team, I think that day is done. So you got a good defense now. You know, Ramsey's there to help what you have up front. Like, you don't need to do a lot. You have a running game that can be pretty good. You have 2 tight end sets that you can run now with Arthur Smith. So just rely on your supporting cast, your coaching, and just play within that, and don't try to be the guy that takes over with the personality or over like Tomlin or anybody on his team. Just play within it and be one of the guys. And I think that's going to be very important for him to succeed where he failed with the Jets.
In that same scenario with Pittsburgh, is Rodgers going to be asked to carry the load like it felt like he was when he was sent to New York? And there was all the media hype that came with it, that he was, very controlling in the locker room. He's bringing in, some of his favorites and types of players and stuff. Will that sentiment somewhat be the same in Pittsburgh when it comes to how the offense runs through him? Or do you think that he will just try to elevate the pieces around him?
Well, I'm just saying this is a key season for him to show that he can be humble, because Mike Tomlin, we know, does not put up with that nonsense in terms of somebody trying to be bigger than the team. We've seen it before. So I just think you'll see Rodgers have to do that if he wants to be successful.
What are you doing with Minnesota? Obviously, they had the really great year last year. Sam Darnold departs, and they are leaning on, it appears, J.J. McCarthy this year to kind of take over that offense with Kevin O'Connell. How do you predict, I guess, what you think that team's going to be when a lot of the same pieces are in place? We like a lot of what they have, but have a total unknown at quarterback.
Yeah, I think you just have to look at this system and trust it, right? I mean, they've got things that have worked out. I mean, between what do you have in Sam Darnold, Kirk Cousins, I mean, the system is just good. And that's why people want to tap into the Rams system. And then you had Brian Flores on the defense. So I think they'll be okay. I mean, there's just so much there in Minnesota, especially if Christian Darrisaw comes back. You got now Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason in the backfield to help the running game. Plenty of weapons. T.J. Hawkinson should be plenty healthy at tight end this year to have a bigger impact. Him and McCarthy were kind of developing something before things broke down, obviously, with the knee last year. So Hawkinson Addison, Jefferson, the offensive line, the defense. McCarthy doesn't have to do all that much, I don't think, to be successful this year. This, again, another guy that can actually give them a little bit more upside because he has a little bit more athleticism that either Darnold or Cousins could provide in the offense.
Sticking in the NFC North, too, when it comes to the Lions, you had mentioned them as one of the contenders. How quickly do they need to get off and running offensively for people not to worry about the loss of their offensive gurus and some of the pieces that they left from their coaching staff?
Yeah, I think that's going to be the thing is, like, how does this affect Jared Goff? Like, he's been a system guy. When he's in a good system, he's great. When it's a bad system, he usually falls apart. So let's see what happens. The schedule's a lot tougher this year. If you also look at it, you got to play more outdoor, tough road games against better teams. So there could be regression, especially the Vikings are pretty loaded. The Bears, I have a lot of optimism with their defense changing. The Packers are not going to go away. So they have some things they have to sort out with Detroit, especially the brain drain. I mean, we saw that with Philadelphia having a bit of a hiccup until they were able to restore, right, after they lost Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon. They had to have a hiccup, return, get those guys back. I don't think you just lose people the quality of Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, who both become head coaches, and just maintain what you were doing.
Vinny, out of the young quarterbacks, we brought up a couple of them, whether it's Caleb Williams, we talked about Drake May earlier, just talked about J.J. McCarthy. I'll even throw in Justin Fields, who we talked about, Jaden Daniels, who we talked about as well, Bo Nix. Out of those guys, those young quarterbacks, Michael Penix we can throw in there also, who are you betting on to have the best season this year?
Well, I think Daniels, let me take Daniels out of the equation because I think he's going to have another great season. So let's just assume that.
Let's throw C.J. Stroud in there too.
Okay, that's fair. I'm going to say Caleb Williams just because I like the system. I like all the weapons around him at this point. They've got now 2 tight ends they can use. They've got all these receivers there, even without Keenan Allen. So I really like what the Bears are doing, and some of that mojo of the Lions is definitely going to be pushed to Chicago this season. I think defensively you'll also see some transition, maybe not as positive, but still I like Caleb Williams. He's just too talented not to do well in that type of offense. But Ben Johnson is just night and day what they had last year.
Was the Bears hype just a year too far in advance? Obviously, they had plenty of changes that happened over this past offseason and through last season, but the team to watch last year were the Bears. Do you think it's more apt to be able to apply that to them now?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was slowing the roll of the Bears last year because they had a lot of issues, especially with the offensive line and defense. This year they went and invested a lot in the interior offensive line to get Ben Johnson's running game going. That's going to have Caleb Williams. Williams has got more weapons now. We'll be going to get Luther Burden and Colston Loveland. I mean, that's a pretty big addition to get those 2 young players. And Roma Dente, I think, has uncapped upside. They have good chemistry from bringing first-round draft picks. So, and DJ Moore could still have a rebound, be more invested. I just think a lot of people are checking out of the Matt Eberflus era because it just wasn't inspiring. But now Ben Johnson, all the vibes say it's going to rejuvenate these players.
Vinny, I'll get you out of here on this. Out of the players that are kind of holding out, having contract issues, maybe they've reported but they're unhappy, like which one is most crucial that gets their deal done as soon as possible?
Yeah, I think it has to be Trey Hendrickson because the Shamar Stewart thing has changed the game for the Bengals, right? They thought he might be contingency, but just he's been a headache right now. So they need to get Hendrickson done, especially if they want to have any decent success with that Al Gold defense.
That's Vinnie Iyer from the Sporting News covering the NFL. Vinny, we appreciate the time. As always, we'll talk again soon.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Vinny.
That's Vinnie Iyer from the Sporting News.
Did you see Tyrann Mathieu retire?
Yeah, Tyrann Mathieu retired. So, okay, this is not really related to Tyrann Mathieu because he played last year.
Is this Honey Badger related?
No. Honey Badger don't care.
People forget. We talked about Burger King commercials yesterday. That was a great YouTube video.
The Honey Badger was it?
Yeah.
That was like early viral internet.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if this has always been a thing and I'm just noticing now. We've had like 4 guys in the last month or so officially retire that haven't played in years.
Sue, Tyrann Mathieu,
Phillip Rivers officially retired this week.
Good for him.
And then there was one more that hadn't played.
Did Larry Fitzgerald finally announce his retirement?
I'm
I'm still waiting on that. I'm pretty sure I didn't miss that.
I don't think
I'm gonna have to Google that now.
I don't think it was Larry Fitz. But we've had like 3 or is that always something that people have done, or is this a new phenomenon?
This has to be new, right? Because usually you just get at like the end of a season, they're just like, no, I'm good.
Or they're like, hey, it's gonna be my last go, whatever.
Yeah,
like
right.
Aaron Donald, he said, hey, I'm done right after the season. That made sense. I'm just having a hard time remembering, or trying to figure out why this is happening. I get.
Yeah, Larry Fitzgerald has not officially announced his retirement, and he hasn't played since the 2020 season.
He can still come back.
That's insane.
He can still come back. Phillip Rivers hadn't played since 2020 either, and he officially is retired.
That's crazy.
And
what are we doing?
That's what I mean. I'm like, okay, that's been 5 years. It's been a minute. I don't know. Although Venus Williams did just win a match at 45 years old, so
That's
maybe
true. Anything is possible.
Maybe Larry Fitz is waiting for the right opportunity.
You remember that story that Shanahan said when they asked after the NFC Championship loss to the Eagles, hey, if you went into the Super Bowl with what quarterbacks you had, what were you going to do? And they said, we had a plan in place to sign Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
That, I want to live in that world. That would have been phenomenal. Could you imagine just a 1-week stint? Phillip Rivers, he's like, well, I'm going to need 10 Super Bowl tickets for me and my kids to show up.
I'll have to leave a few of them at home. That's no, that wouldn't that have been the funniest way for Phillip Rivers to win a Super Bowl?
Yeah, no, 100%.
Because I believe he's got the most wins all time, or second most wins all time, 137, behind Marino. 137 career wins without a Super Bowl, second most all time. It's 10th most wins all time, just period.
It's pretty impressive.
Which is great for him.
Yeah.
But that would have been the wildest way for him to win a Super Bowl is just 1 week. He gets prepped for 2 weeks coming up to the Super Bowl. Kyle Shanahan's like, let's let it fly, bud.
Yep.
Let's go.
Phillip Rivers was so underrated and so undervalued. Like, he played that AFC Championship game with a torn ACL. He was gritty. He was always performing week in and week out. He was a goofy thrower. He was a great competitor. But man, he was a part of some really good teams that they just underperformed so hard. I mean, they just couldn't figure it out late.
There was a little bit of
teams were fun though.
There was a little bit of a Sam Keller, Taylor Martinez, like kind of to his throwing motion, kind of one of these. There's a little bit of that.
Don't ever bring Sam Keller up on this.
You big Sam Keller guy?
No. He took away my favorite video game from me. How dare he? How dare he do that? It's back now, so I can overcome.
Yeah, you can. Don't worry about it.
Don't ever bring up Sam Keller.
Sam Keller, just out here going
as a Joe Gans man myself. All right.
Big Gans guy. We love Joe Gans. This is the Joe Gans program.
I saw. I was just scrolling through Twitter. I was doom scrolling. I was doom scrolling last night. I did stumble upon a Joe Gans highlight reel, and it was prime 2008. So it had just super loud blaring horn music behind it, and it was like 30-second clips that are from people recording it off their TV.
Was it Timmy Trumpet?
No, not quite.
Oh,
no,
okay.
It was not Timmy Trumpet. The video was from like 2008.
Oh, okay.
So
well, listen, I'm sure. Listen.
You know what? Actually, I think it was. I know Amelie played somewhere in that.
Well,
which Amelie was. I mean, it was prime highlight reel tape.
That's prime 2008, right? It's right in the wheelhouse there.
The Carter 2, Amelie? Or the Carter 1?
How old were you in 2008?
How old was I? 11.
11. Okay,
Yeah.
there you go.
Does that help you?
It does. Yeah. Well, I'm just trying to figure out because you listen to like when you're in high school and college, you listen to different music than when you're like elementary school, middle school, right?
Really?
So I don't know if you know this. So I was obviously I'm trying to find
Were you dropping your mixtape?
cultural touch points here that we would overlap.
I just
with.
dropped Amelie. That's not a cultural touch point.
No, it is. But that's what I was trying to figure out. I was like, oh, it's advanced for 11-year-old AJ.
That's fair. Yeah, in Sidney, Nebraska. Just bumping it on my Zune, shooting hoops at the community center. What are you listening to, Austin? Amelie? I relate pretty well.
On your Zune. That's a good pull. That's Austin. I'm Ravi. Coming next, we're going to talk to Kevin Sjuts, who's also been in Vegas the last day or so. We'll see what he's got going on from 1011 News in Lincoln. We'll be back. More Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next.
Joined now by Jack McVay, another Husker alum. Jack, what is it like getting back to having an NBA chance here in the U.S.?
No, I mean, that's what it's all about. That's the dream. That's what 5-year-old Jack was dreaming about, and to be out here in the Summer League, playing for a great club like Atlanta and having a crack at playing and helping a team win.
How did you initially come back to America from Australia to get back into this NBA realm?
Initially, I just got good. It's a simple way to put it. Like, it was a long journey. There was so much to work on, and I kind of just never gave up and kept chipping away, hammering the rock, and it eventually broke. And I've been lucky enough now to spend last year over here and hoping for another year.
Yeah, so what kept you motivated? What kept you going?
I mean, I just love the game. Like basketball, I'm grateful every day that I get to play hoops. And then just improving is fun. Like trying to have a goal, have a challenge, like trying to overcome the obstacles that come in the way. Like that's what gets me going. That's what I love to do.
Four Husker alums are at NBA Summer League. Juwan Gary is one of them. Juwan, what does it mean to be a part of this group here for Nebraska and just representing?
It means a lot. Just the opportunity to just be in the Summer League. It's a blessing, just to get that call from the Clippers just to come up here to join a group of guys just to learn the experience of how the NBA works. I've been in school for 6 years, though. Just being out here, seeing the vets, seeing the young guys that have been in the league for a long period of time, just go out there and play hard. But at the end of the day, it's a blessing just to be up here for sure.
So where were you at when you got that call or text from the Clippers that you were going to play?
I'm actually at home, chilling with my folks. We was watching the draft and everything. The second day went by, and it was crazy. They called me on a Sunday, Laura's Day, stuff like that. And I was just sitting there, and what's crazy, one of the players at Purdue, Fletcher Lawyer, his dad called me like, "Do you know my son? We played against y'all 3 years since I've been there." I was like, "Who your son?" He said, "Fletcher Lawyer." So just the connection of how that works and stuff like that. But just getting that call, being around my family, they was excited. My mom cried, auntie cried, everybody was just, bawling tears. But, just a kid from Columbia, South Carolina, just getting a call from just a big team like the LA Clippers, it means a lot to me for sure like that. So it was a good feeling the day I got that call.
Sjuts Federal Credit Union, we understand that the journey of building your own business typically starts with modest beginnings. With a little help from our team of experts and small business loan offerings, you can take your vision and transform it into a more concrete reality. Sjuts Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
It's really hard to come in as a freshman with tremendous expectations and have to go be the leader. Having to tell you're 18 years old and you're telling 6-year seniors now with new rules. You're telling 25, 24-year-old men, hey, I need you to do this. It's so hard. So what Dylan did last year was really hard. And the thing to me, when you're a 5-star quarterback, like you probably breezed through high school. You haven't had a lot of adversity. Every time you go somewhere, people talk about how great you are. And when I recruited Dylan, I said, hey, come help me turn around Nebraska football, man. It's going to be hard. And doing something hard is how we become great. And if not, you go somewhere, you go play on the best team in the country, which is pretty cool. And every once in a while they need you to make a throw to win the game, and then you go to the NFL and the worst team in the worst city drafts you, and now you have to deal with all this adversity. I said, come to Nebraska. Like, it's going to be hard. There'll be adversity. You'll be frustrated sometimes, but we will eventually do something great. And what I've seen from him, his maturity is he now embraces when he's frustrated. He embraces when things aren't going well. And he's the one, going back to the ownership I talked about, instead of saying like, well, this guy's got to do better, this guy's got to do better, man, he puts it on himself. He says, I'll fix this. So I think our team is going to play for Dylan, and I love coaching the kid. Young man.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Central Federal Credit Union. That's awesome. I'm Ravi here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We are joined now by Kevin Sjuts from 1011 News in Lincoln. Kevin, how are you this morning?
I'm good. Good morning to you guys.
It's an early morning out there in Vegas, huh?
I'm not in Vegas. I'm Central Time right now.
Oh, beautiful.
Enjoying everything from afar like you guys.
Beautiful. Wait, how did you swing that? Did you just get on that first flight right after the last comments dropped from Rhule, or when did you decide to head out?
No, I did not go. I stayed home.
Okay,
Actually,
gotcha.
we had a conflict travel-wise. I was returning from a trip on the 20th, so I would have had to get right back on a plane the very next day. And after being away for 13 days, I didn't have any clean clothes. So I said I'm gonna have to tap out.
Was that
no?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, was that the trip to Alaska I saw on your Twitter feed? Because that looked like a lot of fun.
It was the trip to Alaska, and there was a cruise on the back end of it. It was amazing. It was with 10, 11 viewers, and we had a group of 40-some folks from across Nebraska, just all different parts of the state. Just amazing people. The scenery was awesome. So, yeah, we didn't get back until late Sunday, and everybody that was going out to Las Vegas for media days, that most everybody was taking off on Monday. That would have been just such a tough turn. So one of my colleagues went to Las Vegas and provided a lot of our coverage yesterday that, we're still on top of everything regarding Big Ten Media Days and Nebraska looking ahead to the season. But yeah, people are going to be run down from the travel to Las Vegas and all the work that's done there at Big Ten Media Days. I'm on the back end of the 13 days in Alaska.
So, Sjuts, at what point on a trip to Alaska, or how long are you there, that you start to run out of conversations with the people from Nebraska? Like, I mean, how many times can you ask about like the backup right tackle or that sort of conversation? Like, how do you change it up when you're there for that long?
No, it never gets old. That's what's crazy. That's what was awesome about this group is, it was just what was special about this group. There wasn't just this inundation of like, let's talk Nebraska athletics. And I'll be honest, some of the conversations the folks wanted to have were more about volleyball than football. I think I probably got more questions about how are they going to play everybody volleyball-wise. So much talent. How does everybody get on the court? And then Danny Busboom Kelly. The right tackle questions, I don't know that there were a ton of them. A lot of it was just like, there was one time we're sitting, if I can paint the picture, we're sitting on the cruise ship, and off to our right would be just windows, and then you just see mountains and water and beauty. And the guy looks straight at me and he goes, so how are we going to be this year? I'm like, can I enjoy my crepe here? Come on now. Like, no, but we indulged in the conversation, and I said, you know what? I think Nebraska's going to be better. And he goes, shoot me straight, because I'm placing my bet when I get home, and I want to know what you think. We had a great conversation, but I don't know that the conversations ever got stale, just talking about the folks that were on the trip and learning about them and their families, and hearing about all their travel journeys. A lot of the folks that were on the trip, they love to travel, and they've gone to many, many places. So I got to learn from them. They got to talk Huskers, and we just got to connect with each person personally. It was a great time.
So, Kevin, not to harbor on conversations that may or may not have gotten stale, but I'm sure you saw Coach Rhule's response to the question about Scott Frost's comments regarding the job at Nebraska and, don't take the wrong job, that type of thing. How did you kind of process Coach Rhule's response about the condition of the program when he took over?
Well, at first I was like, holy cow, we're going there. You know, this is 2025, and we're talking about, you know, Matt Rhule's predecessor. And given the comments that Scott Frost made a few weeks ago, I was weirdly surprised that we're talking about that, and then I wasn't surprised because of the maturity Matt Rhule has and the empathy he showed toward Frost. It was very telling. It was very thoughtful. And to be honest with you guys, I was watching that comment live as he was saying it because we had our camera there in Las Vegas hooked up, and it was feeding into my office back in Lincoln. And so it wasn't like an hour later that I was reading the quote from, you know, one of the reporters that was there. I was seeing it. And as he was continuing, and it kept going.
Yeah.
I think it was 4 minutes and 3 seconds. As he was saying it, like, I texted a few of the people that I knew that were right there, like sitting, you know, feet away from Matt Rhule. Holy crap. Because prior to that comment, media days, to be honest, it was very media days.
Yeah.
There wasn't too much sauce or spice on the day. There were no headlines. If anything, it was like, wow, look at Dylan's suit. That's kind of cool. It's custom made. And then all of a sudden, when Matt Rhule starts to talk so openly about the challenges that Scott Frost faced when he was Nebraska's head coach, you're like, now we got some meat on the bone. And here we go. Like, there's a story there now. But the actual contents of his quote, and I'm thinking like, wow, this is going to be something that the people will want to consume, the viewers, the fans, and not just Nebraska fans, college football fans. I think are going to learn a lot by what Matt Rhule said. And I thought he towed that line, which we're not surprised that Matt Rhule is just, he puts on a masterclass on how to say a lot, be empathetic, be thoughtful without being brash and critical. He just has an incredible ability to do that on a variety of topics. And yesterday's I thought was pretty fascinating.
Kevin, when you look back, and I know you said you were reacting to it live with the Scott Frost commentary and such, but Rhule had to have maybe had an inkling that would likely be a topic that could be brought up. When that sort of topic comes up, are you surprised that Rhule didn't try to shy away from it? Because as soon as you make any type of comment one way or the other, you know it's going to be a headline, whether you choose the positive route like he did and then to talk about the state of the program following, or if you choose to go the opposite way, which Rhule hasn't done so far. But are you surprised that he just keeps kind of attacking this type of commentary and the Frost commentary head on rather than just kind of shooing it away and just saying, hey, like I'm focused on the team now. I'm focused on what's for the future. Because it's easy, especially at Big Ten Media Days, just to say, hey, I'm just worried about my team right now.
Yeah, you know, I'm not surprised, to answer your question, Austin, because Matt Rhule just seems so overly confident in, you know, his thoughts and the way he can communicate. And we've seen Matt Rhule take some really tough topics and just go there. He will lean in and he won't back away. So I'm not surprised that he did it. I was just caught off guard by it because there was just some juice there. And yeah, Matt Rhule has talked about how much you have to pay a quarterback in order to get him on your campus. He's talked openly about the college football playoff. He's talked openly about revenue sharing, and he's talked openly about, you know, female football, you know, girls flag football and its rise. Like, so if there's a topic that maybe has a little bit of like tread lightly, Matt Rhule, he doesn't tread lightly. He just goes stomping right through it because I think he just feels confident in his thoughts, and he feels even more confidently that he can communicate his thoughts without getting himself in trouble. And that's what made yesterday so fascinating with the way that he addressed the Scott Frost thing.
Kevin, as we kind of look around some of the other guys that talk for Nebraska, obviously a lot of the attention was on Dylan. I kind of tend to agree with you that not a ton was said outside of what we heard from Coach Rhule. But did any of the players like ring any bells for you? Anything you heard from them?
Not really. The only thing that would maybe be slightly edgy is Dylan Raiola saying that Nebraska wants to win a national championship. But let's be honest here, guys. If Dylan Raiola says that, hey, we want to win 7 games this year. We won't win 8 games. Like, everybody's like, why are you setting the bar so low? Every quarterback's going to say that. Every player's going to say that they're shooting for the moon because, look at what Indiana did last year. They came out of nowhere and they make the college football playoffs. So, that serves as motivation for any player on any team that it could happen. So if there's one thing from a player that moved the meter, it's maybe Dylan Raiola confidently saying that this team is trying to win a national championship this year. But if you follow football and you understand the psyche of some of these 18 to 22, 23-year-olds, it shouldn't surprise you that they want to win a national championship and they think that it can happen, especially now with the college football playoff. Get in the playoff and anything can happen.
Kevin, I kind of want to ask you just prior to Big Ten Media Days, we talked about it yesterday on the show with how the Husker road race went. And I'm not sure when you were saying, like, with your vacation, how it all lined up, if you were able to see some of, the clips and stuff that came out or had a reference as to how that went. But I was so surprised. I don't want to say surprised, but I was very intrigued as to how the character of the team revolves around an event like that with the Husker road race, because it's an annual event. It's one that is so near and dear to a lot of the families and the Husker football nation. But I was so impressed by some of the things that I just heard in public commentary and how the team interacted with fans. It felt so genuine and it felt so unique from other teams past, and not necessarily just under Rhule, but other teams itself. Have you gotten somewhat of a sense of what this year's team has bought into when it comes to some of the community relation and how this team relates back to the state and to the fans?
Yeah, I think that event, the road race, it just continues to be more and more. It's bigger, and you're right, Austin. That's a great point. We need to stop and, yes, it's a 5K. Yes, it's a chance to be around the Nebraska players. That's not the attraction here. The attraction is that you get to help a greater cause, and the state is unified by Jack Hoffman and the Team Jack Foundation. And I really feel like people sign up for it. Yeah, they want to run. Yeah, they want to see the players. Yeah, they want to be at Memorial Stadium. But honestly, they want to support something that is so near and dear to the football program and to the entire state. And I really feel that this is a moment where the players, it's not self-promoting. I guess that's the point that you're making, is that I get the sense that the players are all there high-fiving the young kids and encouraging the runners as they hit the pavement outside of Memorial Stadium. And it's not about like, hey, I'm going to go out there because I'm a Nebraska football player and coaches say I should do that, or because, it's a chance for me to sign some autographs and spend a few hours. Like, no, they want to make that a special event. They know that people are spending their time and their money to be out there. So I think that you're onto something there, that it's just, there's a deep purpose behind the Team Jack road race. And plus, I think that the timing of it is so perfect. If you do that thing in April, it's different than when you do it in July, because right now everybody's starting to flip the calendar from summer to the fall. And a lot of guys are here in their final phase of summer conditioning, getting ready for fall camp, which begins next week. And it's there's some enthusiasm, there's the pep in their step, and they get to be inside the stadium. So great call on that. And that road race, that is something really, really, really special that the football team is tied to.
Yeah, I don't know. I disagree that I think July is a little too warm and too humid for me, but to each their own. Some people love their 5Ks and 85% humidity. I'm not one of them.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous, but it's perfect timing, and right. It is really cool. And beyond that, from the community service aspect, keep in mind that Dylan Raiola had his youth football camp at Lincoln Pius X High School on Saturday. So that was the day before the road race, and it was Raiola's camp, but I felt like half of the offense was there.
Yeah.
So, again, those guys were there to support Dylan, but if you see some of the videos, some of the pictures, and hear some of the clips from that event, again, it just, I don't get the spirit that it is self-promoting, and more so it's just about like, yeah, these are the kids that look up to us, and we want to spend some time with them.
Mm-hmm. That's Kevin Sjuts, 1011 News in Lincoln. Kevin, appreciate the time as always. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, boys. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thanks, Sjuts.
That's Kevin Sjuts, 1011 News in Lincoln. No, that's a good point. It was kind of funny to see Dane Key out there in like a retro 15 jersey at Dylan's camp, and then to see all the guys out there at the road race. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, but it's a super cool event, and obviously has a huge impact on the state and the program and everything.
Yeah.
So
speaking of Key, did you see? I think it was from yesterday that he had some commentary, or maybe it was probably from the road race, or no, Dylan talked about Dane. That's what it was. And they said, "What kind of relationship are you building with him?" And he said, "When Dane moved in, he just texted me and said, 'I'm moving in, get a room ready.'" And so Dylan goes, "All right, got to get the room clean, get it picked up." And then I thought it was really interesting too. Dylan finished that sentence by saying, "That's a dude that's going to be in my wedding one day."
Yeah.
They've known each other for
a
couple months,
6 months.
Yeah,
About
at
probably
most.
6 months when they got back on campus for winter.
And I think
conditioning.
that's something that I think that DB can definitely speak on a little bit more because he's got a little more insight into the program. But when you build character and you have a program built around guys that have a similar mentality, guys that love to get into the mud, love to be competitive, you build these bonds a lot quicker and a lot easier, right? It's easier to build bonds when everyone suffers together rather than when everyone is succeeding together. Because when you only are succeeding, there's a lot of people that want to have the success for themselves. But when everyone's kind of deep in the shit for it, right?
Yeah, when you know what each and every one of you has gone through to get to the success when it comes, yeah, it hits different.
Yeah.
It absolutely does. I will say it is kind of funny. There are some people, just kind of outside the football part of it, there are some people where you just sort of instantly are like, oh, yeah, that person's like my best friend.
Yeah.
Like you meet him immediately. Like there's a guy I went to college with. We only ever lived in the same state for 9 months. He came to school 1 year, and then he moved back home, and we've been – that's Evan from Illinois.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Who comes up on the show a lot. He's kind of my Illinois insider guy. I went out to see him last year in Champaign. We've been best friends for 17, 18 years at this point. We only ever lived in the same state for 9 months, right? Like
incredible, yeah.
From the start of his freshman year to the end of his freshman year when I was a junior, like that's the only time we've ever lived in the same place. And we like you build this friendship. So I hope he's right. Like I think that's super cool, and not just from a football standpoint, but just from a person standpoint that you just hit it off with this guy. Obviously, Dane Key's older than Dylan Raiola is, and so there's probably a little bit of like big brother, little brother dynamic there to a certain extent, but also just this mutual respect where I was like, oh, that's my dude. We're cool now.
Right.
I don't know. I love when stuff like that happens,
Yeah.
right? Because it's almost like when you adopted – I'm going to bring up dogs all the time.
You keep bringing up dogs.
It's almost like when you adopt a dog and you're like – you have that dog for a week and you're like, not only would I die, but I would also kill for you.
Yes, right.
And
that's why I can't do the fostering, man. I don't know how people do that.
I don't either.
That's insane to me.
I would end up with all the dogs,
Yes.
right? Because it's like, this is my dog now, right? But I go and
that's why I don't let you watch Ava.
Yeah, it's true. It's like, this belongs to somebody actually. So a friend of my wife's was like pregnant, having a baby. They had like a couple cats and a Rottweiler and stuff like that. I love Rottweilers. Okay. And she's just like, hey, we have a lot going on. Would you be able to just like watch Nico? That was the name of the Rottweiler for like 6 months.
I'm leaving.
And no, different. I am coming over to Ravi's house is what that Nico's name almost was. But she's like, hey, can you just like watch Nico? Like just take care of him for like 6 months. Like, and then, we can see where we're at. And Natasha's like, we'll watch him, but you're not getting him back. Right. Like it's like if we take Ravi
once he gets in the shadow realm.
Yeah, Ravi won't let me give Nico up if we end up with Nico, because I love that dog. Like I barely know this person at all, but my wife to this day, whenever there's a picture on Facebook of Nico, I'm like, ooh, show me Nico. I love Nico. It's like me and Ava. We're best friends.
Yeah, you and Ava are best friends. She didn't really want to hang out with you at softball the other day.
I know. I think
she's preoccupied everywhere else.
Well, it's also I think she was a little mad at me that I played a party to tearing our first baseman's hamstring.
You freelanced a little too much there, Bobby Witt.
Listen, I thought it was a good throw. It tailed on me a bit.
You pirouetted in midair, turned, fired, and tore a hammy.
And it not my own. If you describe that situation where I cut off the shortstop from third, pirouette, and then throw a ball, you would have thought that I tore the hamstring. I did not. So this is my hot take on Emily tearing her hamstring.
Okay.
I don't think it's actually torn. I think it's very strained.
It's very, very strained.
Yeah.
It's attached. It's not Dak Prescott off the boat.
Yes. No. But I think the only reason she didn't catch it is because she tore the hamstring. I don't think she tore the hamstring trying to catch it. We had a conversation about this. I think that's how it happened. Because she had just done the splits.
Yes.
The play before.
Yeah.
I think she didn't catch it because the hamstring tore, not the other way around.
I'm glad we got that cleared up. Thank goodness.
It's important. Speaking of which, let's come. Oh, Rico, that's so nice. That's how he feels about both of us. I think he was talking about the instant best friends.
Oh,
Go Big Red.
That's nice.
Thanks, Rico. That's like the first nice thing you've said in a week.
I actually do feel that way about Rico, though. Like the minute that he entered into the office, I was like, my best friend. We're good now. And because it's the same thing, we just giggled the entire show.
That's my best friend.
And then, of course, like he already had like history with you, and so then I was like, great. So now I don't have Ravi. Like I'm already being positioned down the totem pole. So then I was like, I'll just be Damon's best friend. But then I was already down the totem pole there, so I couldn't do anything about that.
I think there's a common denominator here.
Is it me? Am I the problem?
Am I the drama? It might be. Let's take a quick break here, and we'll coming back. We'll talk to DB. He is at the airport because he just sent us a picture.
Yeah, he did.
He just sent us a picture from the airport, so we know he's there, getting ready for his flight to come back to.
We'll lead off with that.
Home sweet Omaha. That's Austin. I'm Ravi. We'll be back. More Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next.
Avery Howard here at Dylan Raiola in Las Vegas for Big Ten Media Days. Dylan, your day is really just getting started, but what are the first impressions of Media Day so far?
Kind of shocked. Kind of shocked that I'm here in Vegas, but it's fun to kind of see all the other schools, see some players that I know. It's been fun so far.
Over the weekend, you told us you were really excited about the outfit. Can you give us a quick breakdown of what we got going on here?
So I got it all black with the little red piping. I got some spikes on my shoes, and then the inside, I've been actually practicing, because people are going to want to see the inside, so I got the card chips for Vegas. So this will be the only time I wear this.
One and only time. Well, you are going into year two,
Yeah.
and confidence you can tell is building for you. You've talked about just your leadership going into year two. How have you seen yourself grow from year one going into camp in about a week?
Yeah, just being able to have the confidence to call people out, talk to guys, and then even just being around each other. We've had a whole 2 years together. They kind of know me. They know I'm goofy and fun, but at the same time, when it's football time, we get down to business. So they trust me and they believe in me, so I'm excited.
Avery Howard here with Deshaun Singleton in Las Vegas for Big Ten Media Days. Deshaun, how's the day been so far? I know you said it's moving fast, but how would you say the day is going so far?
It's going great. It's just nonstop. I know we in Vegas, the lights and everything. It's like lights, camera, action the whole time around.
Yeah. Coach Rhule walked by and he wants me to ask you, how was the octopus at dinner last night?
It was smooth. I like it. It was cool. It wasn't nothing crazy.
It was Coach's request. We got that one in. Speaking of Coach Rhule, you guys have a pretty special relationship, and it's one of the reasons why you decided to come back. How would you describe your relationship with your head coach and why it was important for you to come back to Nebraska?
Man, he wants nothing but the best for me. You know what I'm saying? And dealing with a coach like that, you want to do nothing but fight for him. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to leave a legacy for Nebraska, and knowing I left being a winner. So, yeah.
You say legacy. What does that look like for you?
For me, knowing that I came out and gave it everything I had, I didn't shortcut nothing. I didn't cut no corners. I gave it my all.
sauce, no pico, give me that.
Avery Howard here with Henry Lutovsky at Big Ten Media Days. And it's been a full day for you guys. How would you just assess how the day's gone so far here in Las Vegas?
It's been crazy, but I mean, we've had a great team of people keeping us on top of things.
Earlier, Coach Rhule was speaking about the players that he decided to bring here this year, you being one of them. What kind of honor is that for you to know that you get to speak on behalf of this program?
It's a huge honor because I'm not only speaking on behalf of the program, but also on behalf of my university, on behalf of my state. So, I mean, it's amazing to represent that many people here.
You're going to be a veteran leader this year going into camp. Just what's your mindset and what are you hoping to achieve this year in camp, like I said, as that veteran leader?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to bring the best out of people. Just find a way to pull that out of guys every single day.
What does that look like for you so far with the new faces that have joined the line in the offseason and just some coaches that have joined the staff as well?
Yeah, I mean, as far as an offensive line goes, we just need to work to build cohesiveness as one unit. Really just see the game, see the field through one set of eyes. And it's tough to do when you add new people, but training camp is an amazing opportunity to really get out there and get some reps at it before the first game.
Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
What I'm telling people is, hey, it's about to be a great job. Like it's about the world's changing, but like we're in a position here as the finances change. Nebraska's going to be in a great space in the next 2 to 3 years, but especially in 4, 5, 6 years. And so, I'm proud of the guys who came here. I think it's always important we think about that, but I'm also very grateful for the guys who are showing up now because they're going to take us to the next level. And you know what? I walk in the office every day. I'm kind of like, well, what do I do? I mean, like, Holgerson's got the offense. Butler and Snow are like, get out of the room. I can't even walk in Eckler's office. Corey runs the weight room. Kristen runs. I mean, I'm kind of like, all right, Susan runs the football. I just walk around and talk to the players. So, I mean, I really don't know what my job is anymore. And that's a good thing because we have so many great people doing their job at a high level.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centrus Federal Credit Union. That's Austin. I'm Ravi here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. You might wonder when I'm talking about Centrus, what's the difference between a credit union and a bank? Well, credit unions are not-for-profit financial institutions that put their members' financial wellness first. They operate under philosophy of people helping people and give back to their members with competitive rates, great service, and community investments. The credit union difference is real. Experience it with Centrus. Go to centrusfcu.org to see all they have to offer. Federally insured by NCUA. DB will be joining us in just a moment. He's getting through security right now at the airport.
Shoes off, DB, you think?
They just passed a thing.
Oh, that's right.
Shoes
yeah,
off
we're no
anymore.
longer shoes off people.
So you don't. You don't have to choose your footwear through the airport based on the ease of getting through security.
Now, if he willingly just took his shoes off, that's a different conversation.
That's a wild.
Your shoes. Those sure are shiny.
How did you? Do we have like DB relevant drops for all instances? Is that possible?
It's
my Gatorade.
It's cross-referenced like Rhule's dossier of media every day.
Talk about waves.
Wow. So Hot Danger, welcome back. I don't know.
Where have you been, Danger?
Haven't seen Hot Danger here in a second. He says, not relevant to what's being talked about, except for that we were mentioning dogs. We should call dogs' spines, their inside tail, much cuter.
No.
I'm going to say a hard pass on that.
No, what are we, the Predator? I'm not going to be doing that.
I feel like that's actually a much grosser term than spine.
Yeah.
When I think of spine, I'm just like, oh, vertebrae, nothing.
Yeah.
When I think of inside tail, my mind goes in strange places of like, what's happening here? I don't love that. I don't love the imagery of an inside tail.
No. You're going to have to explain yourself.
Because here's the problem. Tails are famously hairy, right? For dog tails, they're hairy. They're furry. I don't like the idea of something furry on the inside.
Ooh.
See?
What?
See?
I didn't like that.
Exactly. That's why spine is just much easier to deal with. I think it's okay. I think we could just call it a spine. Inside.
All right.
Yeah,
Inside,
I agree, DB.
Inside tail's a little gross.
Yeah, and every time I hear the word spine, I always think Predator movies. I always think like
Really?
them pulling the head and the spine out like that.
I just think
that's my first image. So I don't even want to hear the word spine and dog combined because I don't want to have that thought in my head.
You don't. I mean, they have spines. You know that, right? They have like backbone. Is backbone better?
I'll do backbone.
Okay, backbone.
Because then it sounds like mentally strong. You know what I mean? And they're like, oh, Ava's got a tough backbone. You're right, she does.
Rico says this is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And Todd says that's what she said.
Nice. Which part? It's furry on the inside?
Hair goes on the outside of the body. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
As it should.
Nobody needs an inside tail.
That's what God intended. That's why he called it a spine.
That's what he called it. That's not relevant.
Can we call their tail their outside spine? Quit doubling down, Danger. Knock it off.
I'm actually more okay with that than the
Isn't
reverse.
isn't their tail actually part of their spine?
I do, yeah. I think it's just an extension of their spine.
Right.
Yeah. So,
good for balance,
I
folks say.
Allegedly. I think that's more of a cat thing, isn't it? Cats use their tail for balance. Dogs don't really jump the way cats do.
God, I could tell you Ava doesn't jump like a cat, that's for sure. She jumps like gravity's pulling her down. She is quick back to the earth every time she jumps.
Ken says, my inside tail is hurting today.
Oh. God. Ken.
It's a little funny.
Rico, this is dangerous and not hot. What the hell?
What the hell? What the hell? The hell, Burton? No, well, we need DB to call in.
I know.
immediately.
We're just waiting.
Get us out of
keep
this
on sitting on this. How about this? Should we just play a Rhule clip really quick and just see what we can get out of it?
Sure.
All right.
Let's do it.
Get one up there, Rico. Let's see what we got.
I think we can be a great defense. I mean, we've been a top 25-ish defense the last 2 years. I mean, the year before we got here, I think Nebraska was 108th in run defense. And with the same guys, we were, I don't, you have to pull the numbers up. I mean, but we were pretty good. And part of that's the way we practice, the way we do things. You know, like, we're just not going to have a bad defense. It's just not going to happen. Now, when I look back to last year, we gave up way too many big plays on defense, and we gave up way too many big plays. Sometimes, a guy would get a first down, and we give up a big play, and some of that was, a couple guys. Tommy was playing hurt and gave up a couple plays, but we have to eliminate those plays. But when I go out places, people ask me about the defensive line a lot, and our defensive line is going to be hell on wheels. Just watch. I mean, we can talk about a lot of things. And you know what we have, though? We have Andrew Marshall, and we have Sierra Wright, and we have Amari Sanders and Bly Hill and Jeremiah Charles. We got corners that can match up and play man. We got Javen Wright, who's a cheat code. He can match all the best tight ends in this league. Like, you don't have to put a safety on him, which lets you have an extra safety rob people. So we can play man, load the box, and stop the run if we have to. We can blitz. When I go to bed at night, the things that keep me up at night, it's not the D-line. It's our defense is going to be good, and I like Butler. He's an aggressive guy, and he's not going to settle for bad defense.
Hell on wheels, like he's Optimus
Can
Prime.
Can I just say here, what have I been saying for all offseason, basically? What have I been saying about the defensive line?
You've been saying you really like Keona Davis.
I've been saying I think it could be better than last year.
Saying Riley Van Poppel.
People
could be the best.
have been freaking out. They're like, well, we lost Ty Robinson. We lost Nash Hutmacher. Good players. They're good players.
Mm-hmm.
I've been sitting here saying all offseason I think the defensive line could be better. And then what does HCMR say? He goes, hell on wheels. He goes, when I lose sleep at night, it's not over the defensive line. So maybe your boy was on to something.
Maybe.
With the defensive line is going to be good. Every time, so it was like, this is why I haven't even brought up the defensive line or the defense when we're talking about predictions and schedule and things like that. I bring up special teams and I bring up the offense. You know why? Because we're just not going to deal with having a bad defense. It's not going to happen.
And I don't know where your proponent lies on this, but he talked about the defensive backs in there. We haven't really touched too much on confidence in the defensive back level.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that there's a mistrust with where they are right now because you bring back experience, you bring back talent, you bring back guys that you were high on last year that have played pretty well and
some
significant.
transfers.
Yeah, and
you brought up Andrew Marshall.
Yep, you got some new guys coming in. But if you have a great defensive line, you can have
Your
average
defensive backs look
backs.
a lot better.
They look a lot better. Because you don't have to have 4 shutdown
you're
guys
covering for 3 seconds.
Yes.
I mean, if you've got a disruptive defensive line, you barely have to cover.
And
you have to make sure you've got them covered for the first 15, 20 yards.
Yep.
And by that point, the quarterback's running for their life.
And Rhule is exactly right at the beginning of that clip. I mean, how many times was Nebraska set up positively defensively on a 3rd and 11, on a 3rd and 8, on their side on the opposing team side of the field, and it'd be a 12-yard completion, or it would be a deep pass that just got by them when they were playing stout defense for 6 straight plays or something along those lines, right? It always felt like there were moments in the time last season when it was just a little bit out of gas at the very wrong moment. If Nebraska can overcome some of those defensive situational moments, they're going to be hell on wheels.
Hell on wheels. And somebody asked, it's not about the starting, it's the depth of defensive line. Do they have any of the big guys to replace, say, Riley Van Poppel or Elijah Judy, which everybody seems to forget that Elijah Judy's still good at football. Here's the thing. I don't know if there was somebody tweeted out, I don't remember who it was, but the weight gains of people throughout the offseason, okay? David Hopkins, a good one. He's listed at 255 currently on the roster. Yesterday, we found out that he gained 30 pounds over the offseason, so now he's at 285.
He weighs the same as Bryce Underwood.
285?
He said he gained 15.
Well, that's only half of 30. And I think they started at a different weight.
I don't know. Did you see those photos from Michigan camp? A little thick.
You've got Sua Lafotu, who I think is actually really good. He's 295. I think Cam Lenhart's put some weight on. You got Gabe Moore, who's also a transfer from Mississippi State that we kind of just forget about. He's only a sophomore. He's 6'4", 290 before coming in camp here. They said Keona Davis put on 20 pounds, which is a really good sign for them. Like, all these guys have gotten bigger as well. So you may not have like a 320-pound guy, but if you've got 4 270 to 290-pound guys, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to be fine.
So what do you want more from Nebraska's defensive line? Or I guess, I shouldn't say it that way. What do you expect to be better? Do you think that statistically you'll see them be better than they were a year ago? Or do you think that it'll be more eye test, game film watching, more disruptive than what we saw from Ty Nash and what the defensive line was a year ago?
So I think they will be more disruptive.
Okay.
That's the kind of what I've been hanging my hat on with the defensive line. I think they'll be more disruptive. Some of that will bear itself out in the statistics, right?
Yeah.
I think more disruptive leads to more turnovers, both interceptions and fumbles. I think more disruptive obviously leads to more sacks, more tackles for loss as well. I think some of the numbers will end up evening out, right? If you've got a more disruptive defense, sometimes, people are worried about stopping the run or whatever. First of all, there's not that many teams on Nebraska's schedule that want to ram it down their throat. There's really not. And so I think there's this sense of, yes, you're going to have to be really good up front to be good in the Big Ten. And I think they are really good up front. So does Coach Rhule, by the way. But I think there's this sense of Nebraska's just going to get bullied. They're not rolling out 4 guys that weigh 240 pounds. Like, it's going to be, like, Keona Davis is going to be 275 this year if the numbers that we saw yesterday are correct. I brought up David Hopkins. I brought up Jalen George. I brought up some of these other guys that I think Mason Goldman put on 20 or 30 pounds as well. I brought up Elijah Judy. I brought up Sua Lafotu and Cam Lenhart. Like, Gabe Moore. None of these guys are small.
Yeah.
Like, you may not have that big. Like, Nash played at 320 2 years ago. I think he played closer to 300 last year. You've got a bunch of dudes at 290.
Yep.
Right? I think a little more athletic, a little bit quicker, a little more disruptive is going to be really, really good for this defense. And I think the linebacking play is going to be better. Like, you've got Javen Wright, you got Vincent Shavers, and you got Willis McGahee playing all some sort of versions of linebacker for this team.
I think Shavers himself will be the difference maker.
I think Shavers a monster.
Yeah.
I think Willis McGahee is incredibly disruptive. And Coach Rhule literally just called Javen Wright a cheat code. Like, so whatever you gave up a little bit on the defensive line, I think if you give up anything, which I'm not even conceding that they are, Because I think this defensive line is going to be better. But if you're like, hey, maybe they're not quite as good at stopping the run, I think you make up for that with your linebacking play. We've got our guy DB here joining us now. Damon, you make it through security, okay, and the wheelchair speedway.
I did. I only made one minor mistake, considering I am a 2,220 time travel person.
What happened?
Well, at media days yesterday, they had a variety of beverages. So I found a Gatorade Zero green apple.
Ooh.
So I'm like, oh God, this is fantastic. And it was like the little grenade size. So I put it in my backpack, and I forgot it was in there, and it got flagged.
More than 3 ounces, man. More than 3 ounces.
But it was ridiculously fast. It looked like the soup line, but it moved more like, I don't know. Everybody had their EBT card, so that was good.
I'm just saying, if you look like me and you just said grenade in an airport, you'd already be arrested.
So here's the thing. I had to tell the TSA lady, like, you guys know, I'm on all the time pretty much, right?
Yeah.
And in particular in the morning, you know, whether it's speaking Spanish to my Uber driver, we're like in this, ask Sasha, she's got to be like, this kid is a wackadoodle. But I'm like, you know, in Tango and Buen Dia, he's like, I'm like, we're going back and forth. But I said to the TSA lady was just like jamming these totes in the bin. And I was like, Miss McGill, what time did you start this morning? She looked at me like I called her mom every dirty word in the book. I was like, I'll keep it moving.
Oh,
you
man.
know, usually when you kind of drop the name, they're like, oh, how'd you know? Nah, she's having, I mean, it's like the place in Canada. None of it.
Oh, DB. So as you're out there, what was the highlight for you over your quick 36-hour trip in Vegas?
How about Coach Rhule just dropping chicken nuggets, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
I'm a big chicken nugget guy. You know this about me.
So I felt good about a couple of things. He mentioned the tight end room unsolicited, which I've been
I
on
saw
that
your
hype train
face.
for.
I saw your face when he said it in the Husker Sports Nightly interview.
Yeah, I'm like, finally somebody with some sense. Oh wait, it's the head coach. And he validated you
On my
talking
D-line. Yep.
He said, that's the last thing I worry about.
They're gonna be, he called them hell on wheels, DB.
Listen, they are so stinking athletic. Like they can move. The other thing was, how about the duality in his message of how good a job it was based on where he's gonna leave it versus kind of letting you know it's all about how you perceive it. It wasn't a great job. Wasn't a great job when he took it. But guess who he took over for? The guy that said he didn't want the job.
Yeah.
So it's like he is very, very thoughtful in terms of what he says. So in one vein, he says, I don't know, everybody's mad at Frost, but, Frost was right. Wasn't a good job. And he took over for the guy that said it wasn't a good job. And he's also on the verge of maybe making it a great job, which is what he said. So there was a lot of messages in what he was saying. But at the end of the day, my gut tells me he didn't appreciate that becoming a news story in the last handful of weeks.
Yeah. DB, just kind of on that same note, too, we were talking earlier this morning about how he talked about Dylan's recruitment and why his pitch was not like the legacy and everything else that could come with you building back Nebraska. It was about it being hard, that it was going to be difficult. It was going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
There's a part of that where it doesn't just feel like it's about Dylan and Rhule's relationship and that's what he's recruited. It almost sounds like that's what this whole team in year 3 is about. It's that, listen, we've been through that. We're ready to take the next step together, and we're kind of done dealing with the competitiveness of it. But there's also a part of it, too, where I had said it, that it almost feels like Rhule is almost appreciative of what happened the past couple of years because that means that this reward is going to be worth it, and they've earned what they will get this year. Should it end up at least where Ravi thinks and where Rhule seems to think it's going to.
He did mention double-digit wins, DB. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, listen. I hate admitting anytime Austin is right, but I'm in complete agreement because I talk about the consistency in his recruiting pitch all the time, right? Where he's even if when they win, he's not going to have to change it. It's still the thing. It's hey, this is a great place to be. How bad do you want to be a part of what we're doing? And oh, by the way, please don't wait till we start winning because I'm going to reward guys that hopped on board early. It was the same pitch to Caleb. It was the same pitch to Christian Jones. It was the same pitch to David Sanders Jr. It's the same pitch to Dylan Raiola. He told those guys, I'll be very appreciative if you buy into what I'm telling you. Don't wait till we win. We will win. And when we do, the reward will be that much greater. He talks about doing hard things all the time. And it's not just lip service. I'm telling you, the day-to-day is difficult. I think he wakes up, phone in from vacay and say, hey, how can we make people as uncomfortable as possible today? That's the workout that I want to do because he wants games to be easy on you mentally because you've been through the grind. The games should be fun.
That should be the reward, right? The games are the prize.
It is exactly the reward. It's where you get to go spend all the money that you saved up and deposited in your weekly bank account. And Saturday nights are for taking them out of their rear end when you go spend money. And so if you can make the deposits early, it's going to be worth it, right? Nobody likes taking money out of their pocket and putting it someplace where they can't use it. But if you do, the reward is that much greater. And I'm telling you, he just likes grinding. He likes difficult, and he doesn't want it easy. And I think he just embodies that. It was like, I can't remember the last time I saw a spouse come on to Big Ten Media Days. Who was lockstep with Coach Rhule? Julie Rhule. She walks in this place and she's like, she's got a couple of jokes and she's tough.
Yeah.
And so I'm joking around with her. It's kind of just the two of us, and I said, I can't. It means a ton, right? It sends a great message, that you're rocking hand in hand with Coach. And she looked dead at me and she goes, number one, I'm Team Rhule. Number two, who's going to iron this man's shirt? Like, he can't, and in that moment, I'm just thinking to myself, that's the dynamics. Even in their household, it's like we hear him talk about all the time, man. I'm telling you, I get it. People think he's a great orator, and he is. But it's not just lip service. Like, he lives it. He does not have to worry about remembering what he said because he's authentic to who he is.
It's a lot easier to be a great orator when you're just speaking about what you believe in. But he told this story about Julie and when they made their trip to Lincoln, and she goes, as they're driving around the Haymarket, she goes, "This isn't cool enough for you? You can't recruit here?" Like, it's almost like in his own house, he still gravitates, like you said, he gravitates toward the people that like kind of challenge him and make things uncomfortable for him.
She's just giving it to him, and he and I we're yucking it up, and he got ready to, I don't know, he did a bunch of side deal things, and we're trying to tell jokes to each other in the meantime, and he got ready to walk off, and I said, "Hey, those collars look nice and pressed. They look great." He just looked back over his shoulder like, he's like, "I will whoop this little dude's ass if you say that to me again." But he knew exactly what I was talking about because he does give as good as he gets even in his own household.
So, we've been talking a lot about kind of this mentality, and it seems like he searches out, whether it's in his spouse, whether it's in the people that he puts on staff with him, whether it's the kids he recruits. It seems like he searches out people that want to go through the muck, that want to go through the pain of Iowa to get into the reward of what comes next. And when we were talking last week or 2 weeks ago about kind of which kids in state are getting offers or not, and it's not necessarily about talent. It's not necessarily they're a good kid or a bad kid, or they got good grades or bad grades. There's a lot of good people and end up being good football players and good human beings that don't embrace the mentality that he wants. And when you look at it, is that what you see the difference when you see what offers are going out and what aren't?
Yeah, listen. I could give you firsthand stories, right? Because I've heard a lot of them, whether you're national or you're local. And he sat in our living room, and he looked deadpan. And this is after he cusses me out about, I'll go get his ass with or without you. I'll close. And so it was a little awkward a couple of weeks later because we hadn't really talked.
Mm-hmm.
And he looked dead at Caleb. Asked, he's talking to him for however long, and I'm walking around and I'm trying not to pay attention. And Evan's sitting there, and he goes, "I'm telling you," he says, "Hop on the train before it stops. It starts moving. It's a lot easier to catch. Don't wait for us to win." I get it. Everybody's waiting for us, and when Caleb made the decision, and I told you guys, I said, once we realized that was the kind of staff that wasn't going to play favorites, it didn't matter about star rankings. It didn't, like, if it was about survival of the fittest and competitive stamina hanging in there, advantage Benning, right? Like, because it's just what we know, right? It's not always going to be good. And you do a lot of dumb things, and sometimes you just got to weather the storm to get to the good stuff on the other side. And that's exactly what he wants. How uncomfortable can he make it so you can still function at the level where you can do it every single day, right? Some of those mat drills don't even make sense. but guess what? Don't ask questions.
Yeah.
Right? That's why you could get demoted within minutes of doing those drills, right? Like, it's all about staying in the moment. And I think it's how they want to do everything. They shake it up. You're upset that you got to maintain weight within 4 or 5 pounds. You don't think that's that big of a deal? Or why do you have to eat 3 regular meals? Why can't you have your phones at the... What's that have to do with winning? Nothing, but everything, right? Because if you can't function on the day-to-day doing things that you're not comfortable doing, it's just not going to work come game time because the whole thing is uncomfortable, right? And you can't bat an eye at it. You just got to go to work.
Yeah. DB, I want to ask you about the tight ends because we mentioned you had a visceral reaction when you heard Coach Rhule talk about it. Just I
felt like Gilligan without Skipper, man. I was on an island by myself, and I'm like, and you know what else he did? He validated Sat too. And listen, don't get it twisted. I wanted to go over to him afterwards. I'm like, hey man, I said that 2 years ago. Did you get that from me?
Well, I wanted to ask you just about
how much stones would that have taken? I didn't feel like fighting, so I'm like, maybe Alan's gonna eat it.
Well, it was on video, so you're protected there. You'd have been fine.
You never know with that guy. It's like, he sent a message the night before. Never mind. I'm just like, you just never know. It's like, is he serious or is he nuts? Like, it's a very fine line, but. You don't. He said, "I don't have this life without Sat in it. Like, that team isn't where they are without part of what Sat's done." And I'm not taking a victory lap on Sat. I'm just saying that when you talk about loyalty and staying the course, and it not always being, rainbows and butterflies, you look at that tight end room, right? You got young guns like Ingerson and Danny King and these guys. You got reformation projects that you're starting like Carter Nelson. You've got the developmental poster child like Lyndon Meyer. You've got McWay, who was really good early. Then it didn't go so well for him. He needs a change of scenery. He's hurt. He's got to hang in there. He's 12 pounds less than when he came in. He looks fantastic. Like, that room embodies the guys that they're coached by. And I'm telling you, sure as I'm sitting here, that is a deep position of strength. I didn't even mention Harburg.
You didn't mention Harbor. Yeah, there's a bunch of guys in there, right?
Yeah.
That we.
It's just it's a good, competitive, ill-willed, mean-spirited, we go along because we get along kind of group. And believe me, when you line up next to whomever's at left and right tackle, and they're running duo or split zone or something, and you're not about that life playing next to that O-line, it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
So,
but it does feel like, and Ravi and I were talking about this.
You better figure it out.
Yeah, Ravi and I were talking about this off air, that it feels like the tight ends are the position group, maybe across the team, that have the biggest, maybe from the outside looking in, just swing from being like, there's some all Big Ten talent guys that are there if they play up to their potential. And then also there are guys that we just don't know anything about right now in terms of what their production level could be. And I think that that's exciting, that if you're as high as you are on them and they are up to that potential, they can surprise everybody. And that could be the biggest, difference maker for Nebraska in terms of surprising teams early on in the year.
So let's just, Harburg is what, top 10, 12 athlete on that team.
Mm-hmm.
Carter Nelson is talented as high schoolers we've seen come out in some years. You've got Macway, who was a 4.5, 5-star coming out of high school. You get a guy like Lindemeyer, who is going to get paid to play and has paid the price for his development, has become a leader in that room. You look at a guy like Ingerson, who goes, 6'6", 260, who's is just a natural. Like, when you look at that room, there's just a lot of guys that are capable of being good. And right now, for a handful of them, sure, it's potential. But given the track record, right? Forkerture, better when he left than when he got there. Fedoni's being paid to play on Sundays. And again, Lindemeyer, if he's not the poster child, he sure is a picture on the collage of development and paying the cost to be the boss in that program. If the track record is anything like what it has been, the potential is what you get excited about.
So, DB, you mentioned about Markway losing some weight and looking really fantastic. We've mentioned that with Dylan as well, kind of getting his body right. There's been some guys. Yeah, he looked really like lean and trim yesterday, which was good to see. But there's some guys that have been getting the work done on their weight in the opposite direction too that caught my eye. Steve Merrick and our guy Tim Verghese from Inside Nebraska put out some numbers yesterday. And some of the ones that really jumped out to me were guys that are freshmen.
I know you're number one.
Well, Keona at 275.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Like, let's go, baby.
We were talking yesterday. I was talking to KC, and we were just kind of sitting out in the lobby about looking at some of the other teams' guys and stuff. And I'm like, can you imagine if the Williams and Winari and Keona Davis and Riley Van Poppel are actually good players? Like, let's say they're good. Who's not telling those guys to get off the bus first? I go, hey, you and you guys go first, and we'll follow behind. And you'd be like, damn, those look like Big Ten defensive linemen, right? They look like Tyreek. They look like fellas that can play. So again, they got a lot of options there. A lot of guys that paid the price. And you're right, there are some young bucks who
the freshmen that made this list are I'm stunned by a couple of their weights. One was Jeremiah Jones, the wide receiver at 225. That's a huge wide receiver.
Yeah, he's a interesting puzzle piece because he's one of those guys. I kind of put him in that category of the Donnie Jones, the Calebs. They're really good young guys that can play, but they're playing behind other good guys, and it may just be time, right? Because Quinn Clark and Keelan Smith aren't going anywhere, right? But you do have guys that came in at the wide receiver spot that give you like, I think we got something there. But then you look at the group and you're like, well, there's Hunter, there's Bonner, there's Key, there's Barney. So it's just part of the process. But they definitely have some young guys that if you, what do I always say, Ravi, from day one, if you just do what you're told, don't throw your vitamins in the trash, get your meal, get your post-game recovery, get to recovery, and lift. Like their development, the track record is just really, really good. They've proven that they can develop if you listen. And how many times do you have to sing the praises of the strength staff and the nutrition group?
I know.
And I'm not kidding when I say
every
it's
answer.
if the building burned down, there's only 2 people that are getting saved, and that's
Corey and Kristen.
That's yes, yeah. It's
I can figure out the rest.
It's Campbell and Coggins, and everybody else is gonna be like, I don't know, man. The members are hot, but you get to where you need to be.
So the other ones that really caught my eye, I couldn't believe Malcolm Simpson's tipping the scales at 285.
Yeah, he's a long arm dude too. It's like you look at him and you just start to envision what you're capable of, and you start putting them with the strength and conditioning staff and elite level teachers like Nebraska has along the D line. Because I'm fairly certain Dave Braden's got a good track record of working with D linemen. I think so. And so, again, if guys just do their job, I mean, it's hard not to be excited about potential, because being good at football is all about development, and it's probably been the one area that has eluded Nebraska for so long because they haven't really known what they wanted the final picture to look like. So, you know, some guys grab chalk, some guys grab crayons, some guys grab pencils, some guys grab the Sharpie. Like, everybody is using the same medium to get to where they want to be. And I think the finished product of development is that much easier when you know what the picture's supposed to look like.
The last one that really popped out to me, a guy that also changed positions, which I know is interesting, is Isaiah Mosey at 210. Like, at 210, that's big enough to play right away.
Yeah, so you know the funny thing about him is he defies this is a personal nugget, right? You want to know how the sausage is made?
Yeah.
You look at his frame, he's thick, right? His shoulders are like almost the same width as his waist. And usually you want kind of tapered guys, right? Because the tapered guys are the guys that give you the most wiggle for the most part. Like, LP was a monster, but he still wore 34. He still was a 34 waist.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's pretty fantastic to be a you know,
at that size,
46, a 46 sport coat. Right. If you can kind of figure what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you watch Mosey's wiggle, it's like, he's really good with the ball in his arms. He's a good natural runner. Now, as far as like lateral lead steps and looking like an I formation back and all that other stuff, that will come. But when you just talk about movement with the ball under his arms, he can make you miss. It's like, did you see Mekhi Nelson's weight? I'm surprised you didn't bring him up. He's another guy that
I had him at 190. Is he still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean,
that's good for him though, right?
Yeah, I mean, he had to be a 177, 180 pounder.
And he doesn't have a huge frame, so it's good to get up to 190 for him.
Yeah, and you know what? Another good natural runner. I need to. That's definitely one guy that's on my bucket list. I got to get down to Lincoln. I want to spend some time with him before camp. But he's, again, in that room. It's very, very, very competitive. Right? They get along really well, and they have a tough-minded coach. But when you have an incumbent that is still relatively unproven, don't think the young guys don't see opportunity. But also, if you're Emmett, let's not act like he can't transition from being the hunter to defending being the hunted too. So he'll elevate his game. You look at his biceps and the weight that he's put on. He looks
huge.
like
He
a
looks
guy.
big.
He he looks like a guy that wants 20 carries a game. Now, will he get there? Well, we'll see. But it certainly won't. That room, if it doesn't go the way people want it to, it won't be because they spent the off season picking daisies. That ain't what happened.
Well, one of the big headlines from yesterday was when Dylan had kind of one of his side session stand-up deals. You know, people, I can't remember who asked the question, but it was,
I think it was Kruger.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Kruger here that said, hey, what's the goal for this season? And Dylan goes, it's a national championship. And I know that catches people a certain way based on where Nebraska's been as a program. But as a competitor, when you hear that, like, you have to love that he's not pulling any punches, right?
Yeah, it's fantastic, and that's the way that they think. And it's if it's not to a man, it's pretty close. Because remember, I think it was you guys I was talking to when I said clearing the hurdle of the bowl game and getting that monkey off their back, even though it was, listen, it's depends, however much you want to minimize it, they couldn't pull it off for 8 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're the butt of jokes, and it was important for that team to get over the hump. And I said, you go from what's next to what's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, once you get that monkey off your back, it's not what's next, because you did what's next.
Mm.
What's next was, hey, man, we got to get to the postseason.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to play in a game late in December for once, guys. Once you cross that off the list, the mind shifts. We got that done. What's possible? And the more you think about what's possible, the less you limit yourself. And if you don't limit yourself and you go to work, you start to ask yourself, why the heck not? Like, that's where you got to get. And I think that's where they're trying to get. I mean, I listened to Signetti yesterday say, they said, hey, what's next? You ended the season on a loss, to Notre Dame. Is that mission accomplished, or do you feel bad? And he's like, listen, what coach says to a team, hey, we want to go 12-2? You want to win them all.
Mm-hmm.
So if he says that, and everybody's like, ooh, cool, that guy, ooh, I'd play for him. Like, why can't players think that way? I get it. You got to go from 7, you got to go +5 minimum in the win column to even feel confident that they're not delusional.
Mm-hmm.
But it starts with the thought process. It starts with the mind. The mind can go way further than the body ever dreamed of taking it. And if they subscribe to that, and you get your body ready, and you come with a sharp mind, it kind of can be dangerous.
DB, one last thing for you before we let you go and so you can get on your flight and get back home here.
I just saw a guy wearing a Kershaw jersey. Would it be weird if I was like, hey, man?
Yeah, go dap him up.
Nah, I was not asking for it.
No,
yeah.
that is weird.
That is
yeah,
weird.
DB,
Yeah.
you can't do that.
You guys ask people for their shirts. That's weird.
Hey,
Well,
sir, can you walk around this
he-
airport without a shirt, please?
No, he was holding it. I don't know, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Maybe he was looking to give it away. You never know.
You never know. That's true.
Maybe he had to take it out of his luggage because it was too heavy, and I was like, now what do I do with this?
Yeah. You guys are killing my buzz.
One last thing here, DB. You kind of mentioned, as we're talking about the depth and the competitiveness in these certain rooms, but they also get along so well. Like, if you had to kind of boil down development and becoming great into just sort of one thing, like being competitive and still rooting for each other, like, would that be it?
Yeah. That's what makes the skin of my hair stand, the hair on my skin stand up. Is again, I say this all the time. I didn't cheer for LP because I wasn't competitive. I cheered for LP because we laid it on the line together in that room, and we had a common goal of winning. And it wasn't natural for me. Hey, Clinton, go get him. Hey, Lawrence, go get him. Hey, I don't know about D'Angelo, but hey, such and such, go get him. I'm kidding. I'm that maybe. I'm at an airport. That might not have landed well.
Oh,
you get my point. You get my point, right? It's like when you can do that, and there's a common vision and kind of unity of purpose, and you're already good workers, if those guys can be like that, right? I mean, Caleb's going to have to cheer for Buford, and Donovan's going to have to cheer for Caleb, and Amari Sanders is going to have to cheer for Jeremiah Charles, and Con's going to have to cheer for Marshall, and Marshall's going to, when you can start to do those things, and know that you're moving the ball forward, it's a beautiful thing, because shared purpose, there's more joy in it, right? It's just you go from happy, because happy, I told you this, stems from what's happening, to joy because you're seeing other people flourish. You just can hang in through tough days longer and a little easier when you graduate to joy. Joy is other-centered.
That's our guy, DB, heading back home from Vegas. We appreciate you taking the time as you navigate the airport there, bud. And
what am I going to do for another hour 40? You think I'm going to sit? I may do laps.
I would say you might have to get your steps in.
Yeah, get your steps in. Nothing wrong with that. I do that all the time in an airport. I get a sweat on before I get on that plane.
You guys realize I didn't see sun for 40 hours. Like we didn't leave Mandalay Bay.
Yeah, well, that's the nice thing about staying on site there, right? You just stay in the building.
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. The convention center was 15 minutes. It's like, wait, it's where? I missed listen, I was trying to go get something to eat. Your boy missed his lift, which gave me a 5-minute window.
Oh, no.
Because I couldn't get to the other side of the hotel. I called the guy back. I'm not even sure what language he spoke, but I'm like, why would you go to the West Garage when there's a main lobby?
That's a fair point.
He said, yeah, do you know what he said? Yeah, okay, click.
Nice.
Hey, and guess what happened next? $5 charge for ride fee. I was like, really? He made up a place to pick me up that was 17 miles from where I was, and he still got my $5. I need to start driving. I could easily be. I mean, you know me. I got no problems being a prick. It's like if that's all it takes to get $5 a ride, man, sign me up.
The people of Las Vegas notoriously always wanting to give money back and also very kind. So I'm shocked that this happened to you.
Hey, we're walking through the lobby this morning. It's early. It's like 6:10, right? Why are people sitting at the slots? I'm like, did you just get here or did you not go to bed? But either way, you're like one of 9 people in here. This can't be fun.
I'm going to guess it's a combination of people that never left and people that just got there.
Yeah.
Listen,
man, bless this heart of this one lady, man. She had to be, she was old, right? She's got the tank strapped to her chair, and I'm just like, man, I'm motivated today. That is commitment.
DB, it's a term, a phrase that is near and dear to my heart. Just competitive stamina out there in the slots. I mean, you just got to win until you can't get.
She's like, pull. Pull. I was like, I don't know if I'm probably going to hell for laughing, but that made my morning.
DB, enjoy your laps around the airport, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. All right,
bright and early.
All right, buddy. Looking forward to it.
All right, we'll talk
to
you
DB.
later.
Thanks.
That's our guy, DB from, of course, Hurrdat Sports Live and the Husker Radio Network. Hot Danger asked a question. We were talking about kind of running backs and taper. I think it was the Mosey question. He goes, he's talking about. He was wondering how taper would translate to agility, like the taper from shoulders to waist. I think the general point there, I was going to type this out, but it was taking too long. I think the general point there, Hot Danger, is it's harder for thick-waisted guys to have the necessary hip mobility to be super agile. So, yes, you can artificially kind of like fluff out your delts and your shoulders and stuff to increase the ratio.
Yeah.
And a lot of bodybuilders will do that, especially if they're not super naturally small-waisted. But in terms of this, as a football player, you're probably not like artificially focusing on your delt development outside of what you need to. for practical purposes in order to increase your taper. But I think the larger point is kind of the more narrow your waist. And obviously there's a limit to that. But if you're not super thick waisted, you tend to have a little bit better hip mobility and can get a little bit better wiggle that way.
There you go. That's exercise science with Ravi.
I do have a little bit of a background, so we like to inform people when they've got questions. I enjoy that.
Do what you can. I do love Asian Wyatt's comment. Pretty sure a backup on a winning Rhule team will enjoy football life more than a starter on the losing Frost teams. And I know this is always like the background conversation we have so many times.
Yeah, that's the 90s versus the early 2000s guys.
Yeah. But it's one of those things, too, that I know that you, me, and Rico have had this conversation, when you come and bother us when we're trying to do our work and you don't have much going on. But it is one of those conversations
That's not true, but okay. Just throw me under the bus here.
Run it over. But it's one of those conversations, too, when we've asked ourselves, okay, when are some more stuff going to come out about like Frost years and all that other stuff? And we hear a lot, and I've said it before with the Husker Road Race past couple of days and like how the team has interacted, and even kind of the interaction with the team that they have when they send them out to Big Ten Media Days or other profiles, or what we saw them from Chasing 3, last year in documentaries and all the other social aspects that we have, that they are all so tightly knit and they want to be around each other. They want to hang out. It doesn't feel like, Sjuts mentioned earlier, doesn't feel like it's a force to get them out to do things, right? They volunteered and had 15 extra guys show up to Dylan Raiola's youth camp over the weekend,
absolutely.
Right? They just like to hang out. But then on the opposite side, with the Frost tenure, it does feel like, and I'm sure those guys have great connections that they suffered together, all that sort of stuff too. But there's something just about the unity of this team as to where it sits right now and how we see it publicly, and I'm sure how it is privately. Because it would be a lot harder to be best friends publicly if you weren't already hanging out and doing all the right things privately.
Well, I mean, there's a real thing to off-court chemistry translating to, or off-field chemistry translating to on-field success, right? On-field chemistry and off-field chemistry, like they do go hand in hand.
And it's
also, a lot of times. It's not impossible to succeed with people you don't like, but it is harder. And if you genuinely get along with the people around you, and are all working towards the same goal, that chemistry translates onto the field. That's a real thing.
And this isn't a football thing either. This is any walk of life.
Oh, yeah.
If you enjoy the place that you work, and I know we've talked about this before, if you enjoy the place that you work and the people that you're around, there are other sacrifices you will make in your life to fulfill that enjoyment because you want to be there. And again, it's another, relating it back to Nebraska football, that's why a lot of these guys, it's not just about NIL and about money, because they know that they will enjoy their time being at Nebraska. And I think Listen, I have no way to be able to verbiage this any other way other than what I have seen from my experiences being with the, out in the public and being able to see these guys out interacting with, fans and everything. But the guys that may have left over the past couple of years of Rhule being here and such, and not every example, but I think there are some examples, maybe didn't fit in completely 100%. They were 99, 98, or whatever percentage lower. And if there was something else that drew them out, or they had a different circumstance that drew them out, that was their difference maker. But I think the guys that are on the team this year for year 3, their difference maker is being a part of the team.
I would go so far as to say I'm only aware of one guy that transferred that met the culture fit that decided to transfer for playing time reasons.
Yeah. I would agree. I would agree, and I think we've got the exact same kid.
Only one. There's a couple that I know of that are talented enough to be here and were talented enough that I don't think fit in the culture aspect of it, and those guys weed themselves out. But typically, I mean, outside of a couple guys, Nebraska hasn't really lost anyone they wanted to keep over the last 2 years. Like, I feel very comfortable saying that. I think there's maybe 2 or 3 outliers, and that's about it. Like, this is a program that has gotten and that's that C word we talk about all the time, culture. Where we kind of don't really know what it is, so we kind of use it as a catch-all sometimes to make excuses, be like, oh, well, the culture must be bad, or we don't think their talent's very good, so it must be a big culture program or whatever, right? But you can see it when it's happening in front of you. You can see it when you're in a workplace with a good culture, like at Hurrdat Sports. It's not just about, oh, I like this guy, so I'm going to do this. It's, I like this guy, so I don't want to let him down. Right? When
you don't want to make life harder for them either.
Yeah, I want to do what I can to make them better at their job because they make me better at my job, and then they make us all better, right? Like when Anna B asked me to make a video, I'm like, absolutely. Like, that's how I can help the team. Let's do it.
I have a different opinion on that, but that's fine.
Well, I mean, she asked me. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah,
I'm trying to
but
help
it requires
out.
me to do all the work. You just get to talk. It's not Anna B being like, oh, hey, Ravi, will you do this for me and you can do the production? Because then it's like, hey, Ravi said yes. Austin, will you do all of it? And I go, yeah, I guess I like Ravi enough to do all that.
Well, and you like the team enough to be like, hey, if Anna B thinks this is good for the
Right.
team, I'm going to help out,
Yes,
right?
and
So that's where the analogy
Yes.
continues,
And
right?
100% true, even with the sarcasm aside.
Yeah.
The things that we do just with Hurrdat Sports, a lot of us, everyone at work, everyone at a football team, when you have to wake up at 6 a.m., for practices, conditioning, whatever. No one wants to be there.
No.
But it's how you know that it will benefit everyone around you and how it benefits the group and the program and everyone in total because you are there, because you will go the extra mile, I think means a world difference. And I think Lil Dave in the comments has a great comment. This is a team that won't decline a chance to play in a bowl game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's going to be a problem
No.
based on what I think the season's going to go, but I understand his sentiment, right?
Yes.
Like, this is a team that would not – it's kind of like Nebraska basketball last year, right?
Yeah.
Like, they could have declined the opportunity to play in the ground. They didn't have to go play that. They all wanted to. They all wanted to keep playing for each other. Now, I expect this Nebraska football team to be better than that in terms of relative to their sport, but I do think it's –
I don't think Nebraska's got any Nikos going into a playoff game telling their friends, I might throw this one. Don't worry about me.
I think you look at this team, and I think I know what you mean, but I'm going to change it a little bit. When we say, you're waking up at 6 a.m., no college student wants to wake up at 6 a.m. or be somewhere at 6 a.m. I do think they all want to be there. So that's where I would say it's a little different.
Right.
Like, you all want to be there. You all want to get better. You all want to get after it once you're there.
Mhm.
No college student wants to wake up at 5 or 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
Like, most adults don't want to wake up at 5 or 6
Yeah.
o'clock in the morning. Like that's the difference to me is even when doing the thing that you love requires doing something you don't want to do, you do it.
Yeah.
Like, that's where it's a real difference maker, right?
Yeah.
Because
And fair correction, like when you know that these are the steps to get better and these are the steps to success that you have to get to
in order to do what you want to do.
There is no shortcut.
Like, that's the big difference. I mean, that weeds a lot of people out when we're talking about a few of the guys that maybe weren't good culture fits. That weeds a lot of guys out being like, hey, this is what's required to do the thing you want to do. And a lot of guys aren't willing to do that. The thing they want to do either doesn't mean enough to them, the teammates around them don't mean enough to them, or they think they can take a shortcut somewhere else, and maybe they're right to a certain degree. We see that all the time. Guys that, I mean, Johnny Manziel is a great example of this. He was talented enough in college to not have to do things the right way.
He didn't know plays.
He was
just going out there doing his thing.
He was just out there, backyard Johnny footballing it up. And guess what? It worked for him until he got to the NFL. Like, he was able to take the shortcuts and not do the hard things in order to be good. But just imagine how good he would have been.
Well, I mean, look at his teammate. You want to look at complete difference.
Mike Evans?
Ultimate level of athlete. Mike Evans on the opposite side.
Yeah.
Dude's been one of the most consistent Hall of Fame type receivers over the past decade.
Yeah.
And you don't think every single day he has to come in and find out a new way to be able to stay consistent, to stay at his level?
At his age in the NFL with what's been shaky quarterback play for a lot of his tenure in Tampa. I mean, yes, he's got a couple years with Tom Brady, and Baker had a good year last year. But like, there's been a lot of like Jameis Winston, and I think there was a Jacoby Brissett in there at one point, and a Kyle Trask, I think, got some snaps. Like, there's been a lot of just randos out there, and Mike Evans is out there grinding, doing his thing, even though he is a superb talent, right? So it's not just the talent level, right? It's about, hey, are these guys all willing to go through the crap in order to get the thing they want? And I think that's a filter through which Matt Rhule views every single person he brings into this program and into the orbit around this program, whether it's players, whether it's coaches, whether it's support staff, whether it's, I would venture to guess, I don't know this, I would venture to guess he had an opinion on who got hired as the new AD when that happened. I think everybody around this program, he views through the lens of, will they be willing to go through the pain, as he talked about with the Iowa game, in order to get the thing we all want?
Yeah.
And if
keep watering the bamboo.
If the answer isn't yes, you can't come here. That's it. Like, that's the whole thing. If the answer isn't yes, you don't get to be at the University of Nebraska. That's the full answer. It doesn't matter how talented you are. It doesn't matter whether you're an in-state recruit or an out-of-state recruit. It doesn't matter if you had a great freshman season and are coming in all hyped up. It doesn't matter if you were a freshman All-American and you're coming in all hyped up on a year two. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you're a 2-star, 4-star, 5-star, whatever. If you aren't willing to do the things that they believe are necessary to embrace the hard things in order to get the thing that they all want, you don't get to be here.
Yep.
That's it. And that's, I think, that's culture.
Yep.
Like, that's the culture of Nebraska football. It's not the culture of everywhere. Some people have a winning culture without that. But that's the culture of Nebraska football. And I think that's a culture that Nebraskans can embrace.
Yep.
It's a thing that, as a people of this state, we like operating that way.
Listen, we said it last week with the whole Scott Frost rants and everything else, but it's a fabric of the state that you should not just be given something, you should have to earn something.
Yes.
And we appreciate those, we value those from this state that have worked hard to get where they're going, and we also respect when they get to that level because we knew how hard it was to get there.
That's the thing.
It's hard for us to accept someone from the outside that just walks in and is successful.
Feels like they've just been given it, right?
Yes.
Like there's a part of me that thinks we'll appreciate it more when I'm correct and Nebraska goes 10-2 this year, that they went 5-7 and then 6-6 the years before that, because it felt earned.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I couldn't agree more.
There's a part of me that wonders if Coach Rhule had had a Signetti turnaround in year one, obviously Nebraska fans would have been thrilled.
Yeah. But they already had that with Riley. And all we had during that Riley successful year in that second year was, it doesn't feels
like smoke and mirrors. This doesn't feel real.
It never felt earned. It never felt earned.
It didn't feel earned. It didn't
Next
feel
question.
It didn't feel real. It didn't feel like Nebraska. Nebraskans want to go through it in order to get the things they deserve. And then when it doesn't go their way, we want people to take accountability and own it, right?
Yep.
That's every single thing. I basically just summed up hours of Coach Rhule content yesterday with two things.
Yeah.
Embrace the hard and earn it, and then own it. Own the process. Own the accountability. Almost every single answer he had yesterday was around those two things.
Yep.
That's what culture is. That's what Nebraska culture is. And being a guy not from here to understand it so well, I don't think he changed in order to fit in at Nebraska. There's a reason he always says, his wife is like, that's the right job for you. Mm-hmm. That's the right job for you. Because she understood clearly before he did, that his personality and this place were a perfect fit. Yep. The way he wants to go about their business is the way Nebraskans want people to go about their business. It's the way we want things run. And I think Julie maybe saw it before anybody. Maybe Trev saw it when he interviewed him in the first place, or maybe that was just a hot candidate that he felt like he needed to interview. I don't know. Yeah. I'm not going to go one way or the other on that. But Julie knew before the rest of us that his personality and this place were a perfect fit for one another.
It almost feels like we're in like a Greek mythology up to this point now, because we're a month away from determining whether good culture and doing all the right things and building blocks and doing it the hard way, if that's what gets you wins.
Absolutely.
And it feels like it, as rewarding as it will be when it works, it would be just as devastating if it doesn't.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no way around that. There's absolutely no way around that, because I will say, though, the reason I'm so confident it will work is because of a couple other things he said yesterday. There really is enough talent on this roster.
Yes.
He said that a couple times.
Yep.
He goes, hey, this wasn't a bad roster. When
Hell on wheels, baby.
He's not worried about the offensive line. He's not worried about the defensive line. He likes the players on this roster. You can tell when he talks. He thinks this is a talented roster. He thinks there's NFL guys on this roster. So if you put that's why I sit here and I say, hey, this guy's going 10-2 this year, because I go, hey, I've believed the talent on the roster for a while as well. And if you get that other part right, which year 3 Rhule would indicate that's the case, that's where the magic happens. More Hurrdat Sports Live. DB will be back tomorrow.
See you. Have a good day. Love you.